Oh, Wendy Bell Radio is live.
I still don't understand why that's funny to me. I'll never understand. I don't understand
I
that.
like to see how long you go till you crack a smile. Like you're like, your eyes start to get a little big. You're like, I'm holding.
I don't know why that is so hilarious to me. And why Kelly, who goes, anywho, for Bad Joke Friday is so freaking hilarious to me, but it is.
Speaking of,
oh my heavens,
wbrbrock@gmail.com. Get them in early so I can get it done tonight.
Bad jokes, baby, bad jokes. Hey, look, if you guys haven't gotten into Rumble Wallet yet, let me get this out of the way. It's important for you to be able to take control of your money and also to be able to claim $20 in U.S. stable coin. All you have to do is hover on that QR code and you can get walked through it. Got to be 18 or older, but I know you guys are. So you know that money's changing, digital, crypto, all of this stuff, Bitcoin. I know very little of it, but it's what started, not that long ago is getting easier as you think. And with Rumble Wallet, you can buy Bitcoin, you can hold dollar-backed stable coins, even own digital gold, which is backed by real gold, all in one spot. It is a non-custodial crypto wallet, which means you and not a bank or a platform gets to control access to your money. Setup is super simple. Hover, follow the directions. It's easy. It all connects with something called MoonPay. That's their platform, so you can use your debit card, credit card, bank account. Be up and running in no time. Plus, right now, if you do it, start your Rumble Wallet, you're going to get $20 in free U.S. stablecoin. Just enter the promo code Wendy20. Wendy20. Go to wallet. This is a mouthful. Wallet.rumble.com. Follow by the /Wendy. Or just do the QR code.
Yes. Use the QR code.
Right? I'm like, what? That's too much. So thank you to Rumble Wallet for helping us with this program. I freely admit I am not a very advanced digital money individual.
So I've just decided in the last 5 minutes.
Oh.
The Anthony Fauci candle.
The burn in hell Anthony Fauci candle, which doesn't look as saintly as this. It's a little bit more devilish.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to make it happen.
We're
going to do it. We're going to do it. I'm only probably going to order 100 just because I don't know if you guys, I would
burn it. And I would burn it every damn day I'm in this studio.
Yeah.
I would. 100%.
So we're going to do it.
Do you know where you're going to get your candles?
Buy them, don't buy them. I'll burn all 100 if I have to.
We'll take them out. We'll just have a seance.
Well, maybe if we have leftovers, we'll take them and try out the new guns and
light a few
and then light it up with a.
I don't know if Fauci and others understand how much we hate him.
No,
I don't
think they care.
I don't.
You can't be that dark and that dirty and care what people think about you.
No, he does care what people think about him. Yeah, he does. Oh my God, it's all his ego. It's completely his total MO. It's the adoration. It's the being like beatified. He's like a cardinal to people. And you're like, really? You thought not at all, and it took me a while. COVID, I have to say, it was awful. It was awful. Stephen A. Smith says something very interesting. Did I grab him today or no?
No, but I saw what he said about possibly dying.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Right?
I think a lot of people keep their lives private, and you don't want to sit there, and it's kind of hard when you're coming out saying, get your vaccine, and meanwhile, you almost died. It's kind of hard to even waver or sit on the fence.
I'd like to know what the timeline is of Kyrie Irving and then his Stephen A. Smith saying he was so dire. Basically, the doctors were like,
if this doesn't
we got to call your family. We'll know if this antibiotic treatment, if this is going to work for
Never
you.
good when they say, get your family.
Get your family.
Been there, done that.
Got that call.
Never a good call.
Got that call. Don't need to get it again. It's a part of life, which sucks.
Yeah, we're doing the candles.
I'm super annoyed right now. I just found out something. I'm going to have to talk about it tomorrow because today's show is stacked, but
You do whatever you want. I'll follow you. It's Wendy's world.
no, it's not. It should be. But
It is.
But it's not.
It is.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at me.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we are converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hey!
Well, hello, America. Greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. Common sense conservatism. It's not complicated. Never is. It is the truth. It is the data. It is the facts. You know, and I can say it is the science because at some point in your life, you wake up and you start paying attention and you start to realize that you put a lot of trust and faith in people and institutions that never earned it. Because you know what? I got to say, when you start taking charge of your decisions and the information that you find, when you start researching stuff, ladies and gentlemen, and you begin to realize how dark and dirty how many people are, it's hard. I'm there today, right now with you. All right? WendyBellRadio.com. Follow along. We are so close to getting 100,000 followers on Rumble. Love to have you there. If you're listening to the radio with us on the radio, I'm so glad you are. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you come back next time and bring a friend. Thank you. And welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, one of the things about a talk radio show is that it's 3 hours of content. You carve out the commercials. A lot of radio hosts have guests. A lot of them take phone calls. I really don't do either. I'm selfish. I want you all to myself, because I think the things that we talk about here matter. You don't have to be a 56-year-old mother of 5 sons to understand the things that I talk about. You don't have to be white. You don't have to be Catholic. You don't have to be conservative. Because what we share on this program, I think, crosses all of the political boundaries. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we're really not that complicated, not that different of people. I got to tell you, I'm really upset about everything regarding Anthony Fauci. I'm upset about his liaisons, the friends he made, the people he palled around with, particularly Bill Gates. Bill Gates, who I think is a dark and devilish man, who I have no doubt did dark and devilish things with Epstein. I have no doubt that is why his wife Melinda bailed on his creepy ass. Pardon my language. I am upset today. So back in 2001, I had just had my second son. It was December. I'd gone in to the doctor for a checkup with Jack. he was a newborn. The doctor checked out Jack and it suggested to me, you might want to take this shot. If you don't want to have another child right away, we'd had 2 in about 20 months, 22 months, something like that. If you don't want a child right away, you should talk to your OBGYN about this thing called Depo-Provera. And so I did. I had a checkup with my doctor, and the doctor was like, yeah, it's a great pregnancy stopper. Temporary, easy. And that was about the most critical thought I put into it. Till this morning, about half of an hour ago. I'm reading The Real Anthony Fauci, the book by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It is disturbing. It is mind-bending. And I was leafing through the index just before we went on the air, because I wanted to see what other nasty things Fauci was accused of doing. AZT, AIDS and HIV, puppies, orphans, COVID. What else? So I stumble upon this one page, and the name catches my attention. Depo-Provera. I'm like, what's that? It says Depo-Provera, a cruel irony. I'm going to read it to you. Population control has been the central preoccupation of the Gates Foundation since its inception. In 1999, Gates' $2.2 billion commitment to the UN Population Fund doubled the size of the Gates Foundation. The same year, he funded, with a $20 million contribution, the Johns Hopkins Center for Population. In 2017, the Gates Foundation adopted the goal of administering contraceptives to 214 million women in poor countries. Gates' contraceptive of choice is the long-term infertility agent, Depo-Provera. Population planners have administered Depo-Provera primarily to poor and Black women in the United States since its invention in 1967. In the United States, 84% of Depo-Provera users are Black, except me. What are the side effects? How about beyond not getting pregnant again? Because that's the reason it was made. How about this? Depo-Provera is a powerful poison with a devastating inventory of wretched side effects. Under federal law, the Depo-Provera label must bear FDA's most stringent black box warning. My doctor didn't tell me about that in 2001. And I didn't ask because I didn't know. And neither did he. Women have reported both missed periods and excessive bleeding, blood clots in the arms, legs, lungs, and eyes, stroke, weight gain, ectopic pregnancy, depression, hair loss, decreased libido, and permanent infertility. Fan-freaking-tastic. I couldn't get pregnant for 11 years after taking that shot, ladies and gentlemen. And for me to tell you right now how I mutilated myself over that, something must have been wrong with me. How on earth do I have 2 beautiful children and I can't do it again? Well, I can tell you how, and I can tell you why, and I can freaking tell you when. And it seems like a very odd conclusion for me to draw that thank God for COVID. How is that possible? How can I go to that? How can I say that? How? 15 million people, including 1 million in the United States. How many of you suffered because of that? Ungodly suffering. How could it possibly have any kind of a silver lining? Because we now do our own research. And many of us got that really weird feeling inside when they told us it was time for our kids. It's the right thing to do. It's for the greater good. It's what good people do. They listen to the experts. They listen and follow the science. There is no science on that shot that they pushed on everybody and his brother for COVID that told anybody it was safe or effective. Not one. In fact, beyond that, they knew it was a killer. And they did it anyway. And just like Depo-Provera back in 2001, doctors didn't do their own research. They didn't read the studies. They didn't ask the questions. And how many millions of us suffered? As I look back on what I got, the prizes I got out of my stunning, heartbreaking infertility. And any woman out there who's gone through it and the man she loves, who's right there with her, knows damn well what I'm talking about. I didn't have to go through all that. But if I hadn't, I wouldn't have gotten 3 of the most phenomenal prizes I've ever received. Bob, Chris, and Ryan. Today, what's at stake isn't just Anthony Fauci getting an official contempt charge. That happened, and we'll talk about it. It is about the awakening of more people just like me, who realize that somewhere along the way, they believed somebody who didn't take the time to ask questions. And for our children and grandchildren, we must say, never again. All right, when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, you know, it's such a parallel here, getting pregnant and talking about Susan Collins. Just kidding. Kind of a hard detour on the bend. We're going to talk about her. Does somebody want to tell her who's really weaponized the Justice Department? Because we got to go after her. We got to drag this RINO who seems to be on a revenge tour, maybe. Let's go next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Yeah, I have no idea what I just said, but I'm pissed. Anywho, if you haven't read that book, it's a ball buster.
You know what's great about that book? Can I say this real quick? Is exactly what you did. The index is so. I flipped through it. I can't say I read it page 1 to page whatever, and it's like you saw how thick it is. You go to the index and you can find things and then read about it. Like, yeah.
The chapter that I was interested in that made me stumble upon this, and I was like, Depo-Provera. I mean, it's been 25 years, you guys.
Is Topamax in there?
Now you're asking for my glasses.
No,
let me just say this, guys. I want to tell you quickly about Ghost Bed. Okay. I think that there are some things that are worth spending an outrageous amount of money on. There are some things where quality is equal to expense. I'm going to say Cozy Earth sheets are worth every freaking penny, and they're outrageous. The weird thing is the comfort and the luxury you get out of a mattress from Ghost Bed. And then you look at the price and you're like, these things don't compute. You would expect it to be a lot more expensive than it is. Ghost Bed is made in America. These mattresses made by a guy who knows about pain. He's had multiple surgeries for back and neck issues, couldn't find comfort on a mattress himself. So he's like, F it, we're going to do it ourselves, right? And he and his family run this business, made in America. Love it. Every single mattress has this cooling technology, which is off the charts. You stay cool. It is so comfortable. There's different sizes, different models, different kinds of price points. Each one, though, comes with this guarantee for 100 nights. You try it before you buy it. All right? If you don't like it, you send it back. You're going to like it. And you're going to get 10% off, extra 10% off. ghostbed.com/Wendy. I love mine. ghostbed.com/Wendy. I'm going to have to find the chapter here and like actually put on my glasses and figure it out. But
I took a drug that my doctor for epilepsy says, oh, this Topamax is great. You know, it stops the seizures. And for people who say, why didn't you do your research? Because these are the people that
These
you're
are
supposed to
the
trust.
experts.
I can't even say half the drugs' names.
Right.
So I'm like, if it stops the seizures, and I took it for about,
You
I
felt
want to say
terrible.
3 months. And I had to call him back, said, dude, I can't put 2 sentences together.
Right.
And then I talked to someone I know who's a nurse, and she's like, that's a nasty drug. I really don't think you should be taking it. And I called my doctor back and said, no, we got to change this. Oh, okay. There's plenty of drugs out there.
You guys, the doctors were incentivized with monetary bonuses, some of them over $1 million, to vaccinate a vast majority of their patients.
Here we go.
Conflict of interest much? That's the fussy bumper music. Brock waits for when I'm feeling a little fussy. I'm feeling a little fussy. Let's talk about this Daily Caller headline. Why does Susan Collins oppose confirming Todd Blanche? Well, it's an interesting question. One reason apparently involves abortion pills. What? So we got Todd Blanche. Trump wants him to be not acting, but permanent attorney general. Blanche is getting some feedback, some pushback. Susan Collins, absolute RINO. She's like, I'm a no. He can only lose, I think, one more vote, and then he's toast, right? She says, look, this is Susan Collins saying this. She says, I've carefully reviewed Todd Blanche's qualifications to be attorney general. I will vote against this nomination, she said, okay? Among her reasons for opposing Blanche's confirmation include him promising an anti-abortion organization that he would seek to prohibit the mailing of abortion medication to women nationwide. That's what it is. That's the thing that's got her. Collins' post came after Blanche reportedly promised to achieve policy solutions that would make the U.S. Supreme Court's Dobbs decision, which overturned Roe versus Wade in 2022, permanent in every single state, during a conference call with the White House Faith Office on July 30. That against Susan Collins is like, look, that's too much. I can't do it. Really? That's your thing. This is, see, when you have RINOs in office, right, who refuse to do what the president says, you got to take a look at it, right? So we did. And we reviewed Susan Collins' voting record since her arrival to the Senate in 1997. It's been a while. It's been almost 30 years, right? And we find that she voted to confirm all 3 Democratic Supreme Court justices who reached a floor vote from 1997 through 2025. She helped get us Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Thanks, Sue. Thanks. Plus, she voted to confirm Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland, who perhaps is the most corrupt, slimy scumbag ever at the DOJ. And that's saying something because it had also involved Brennan and what's-his-face, Comey. Garland went on to weaponize the DOJ, right? Susan Collins thinks Todd Blanche is trying to weaponize the DOJ at Trump's bidding against his political adversaries. Hey, Earth to Susan Collins. I don't know if you've been living under some really rural Maine rock somewhere. I don't know. But you need to wake up, sweetness, because you, in fact, are the problem. Period. She voted to confirm Loretta Lynch as Attorney General in 2015. Remember Loretta Lynch, the same woman who had a private meeting with Bill Clinton on the tarmac, right, at Phoenix's airport while the Justice Department and the FBI were investigating what again? Oh, that's right, Hillary Clinton's private email server. Why ever would that be a conflict, right? No. Lynch said, no. The meeting was all about talking about our grandkids, right? It was just really folksy and homesy. And we didn't talk politics. We didn't talk shop. No. As it went on, after James Comey came out, and he's like, no reasonable person would ever conclude that Hillary Clinton did anything actionable, right? Because he was in on the whole thing too. Russia, right? He's covering his own butt. Loretta Lynch didn't recuse herself, even in that tarmac meeting. No, she accepted the FBI's recommendation to close the investigation without any charges into Hillary Clinton, right? Susan Collins voted for that. Not Todd Blanche, but Loretta Lynch. Well, what? Before that, in 2009, I think it's just appropriate that we walk down memory lane together, right? 2009, Collins voted to confirm Eric Holder as the Attorney General. Not Todd Blanche, but Eric Holder. You remember Operation Fast and Furious? That super swell gun trafficking investigation where federal agents let guns reach suspected Mexican cartel buyers ostensibly so the feds could trace the weapons back to the cartels, et cetera, et cetera. Some of those guns, don't you know, later appeared at the scene where a Border Patrol agent was killed in 2010. Oh, goody. Susan Collins voted for Eric Holder, but Todd Blanche, oh, that's too much. No. Eric Holder, of course, was later held in contempt of Congress after the House and the Justice Department failed to prosecute, or provide, rather, documents about the operation. Do you not see? It's been the same freaking system. It's been the same cycle. We're all looking at the same washer and dryer, right? The different models, but it's all the same cycle. We're going to do this. We're going to hide. We're going to cover it up. We're going to slow walk. We're going to stonewall. We're going to obfuscate. While we're doing that, we're going to throw stones at Trump or a Republican so that we can blame them for doing what we're actually doing. Then when things get kind of dicey, we're going to need the media to jump in. They're going to have to help with the wrap-up smear to help with the story that we're not doing anything. These other people are doing it. And then if that doesn't work, got to call Harry Enton from the bullpen, right? Get the phone, call Harry Enton. Dude, we need a poll. Give me a poll that we can drop that either makes everybody go haywire about something else or further covers our own actual illegalities. It's so disgusting. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. And we're at this critical juncture now, ladies and gentlemen, with one dude, Tony Fauci, who thinks he's above the law. He thinks he's above all of it. He's above reproach. He's above criticism. He's above any kind of punishment. He's above even answering simple questions. What color is the carpet? What is your name? I don't have to answer anything. Fungu. He middle fingered all of us. This is that critical moment in American history when we realize, are there two systems of justice or not? You're either freaking guilty and you pay, or you're guilty and you walk. And here's the funny little thing for the government right now. Oh, we're all watching. Because all of us, in one way or another, have been damaged by Mr. Science. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about this whole RINO thing, this investigation. I have to say, Democrats have to deal with the socialists. MAGA have to take down the RINOs. And I got a couple we're going to name. John Solomon drops 2 Republican names who are obstructing progress. Oh boy. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. And to be fair to Susan Collins, who I believe, just going to say, I believe is a principled woman. I believe takes her job extraordinarily seriously. I do not believe she's some fly-by-night. She's never missed a vote. I think she's the only one in 30 years on Capitol Hill who's been able to say that, right? She litigated in her mind carefully over Brett Kavanaugh. She weighed the evidence. She presented her decision to confirm why she did that. She is not stupid. But she gets things in her head and she holds on to them. I'm not going to pass the Save America Act because it's just to make it hard for the blah, 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 blah. No.
We going 12:30?
Yeah. John Solomon dropped some information I wasn't expecting, though I was not surprised by. It's going to be one of those things where you're like, what? Yeah, I could totally see that.
So end of shows TBD.
We could squeeze that down.
We could do that Clay there.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm kind of all over the place.
No, we're right back where we started.
The Clay thing is interesting.
They take the bait every time. That's all I can say is they take the bait every time.
We'll put that down there. That's a good idea. I was fussy and then I went all over the place, so I apologize.
Or what?
I don't know. When John Solomon comes out of the gates and says, I can tell you with absolute certainty that these two Republican senators are stopping the progress of Joe DeGeneva's, what are they calling it? It's a
Grand jury, isn't it?
grand conspiracy case. The grand conspiracy case. You got to pay attention to this. All right, I want to tell you guys, what do I want to tell you about? Dr. Gundry. Dr. Gundry invites you to try something that's delicious and has a great side effect. Losing a lot of weight. That's one of those things that you're like, wow, I like that side effect. Usually it's all the terrible things like Depo-Provera gives you. But when you drink this wonderful powder, and it's either it's like in a berry medley, there's a blueberry one, and there's a watermelon lemonade one. They're all delicious. So once you put the scoop in the water that you're already drinking, you're going to be like, why am I not drinking this every single day? Because it's tasty. I want it. I crave the sweetness, and it's just a little bit of tart. And then you're like, wait a minute, I'm going to lose weight. Why? Why does that work? Because it stops your hunger. It stops your cravings. It crushes it. That's what it does. MCT Wellness is what it's called. And Dr. Gundry has put together a video that basically encapsulates all of his science, all of his research, and what he knows about food and the decisions that you and I often make that are the wrong decisions that we think are good decisions. Like, oh, I'm going to eat a handful of blueberries and that's going to make blah, blah, blah. Or oatmeal is so great. And then he's like, about that. This video is worth watching. Again, and I say this all the time, which is stupid. Even if you don't buy the product, it's worth watching. So go to The Healthy Fat, thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Dr. Gundry says that this drink mix triggers a flip of a switch in your body that allows your body to dump these calories that it kind of holds on to just in case. And we're like, no just in case. Get rid of them, right? That's what this process stimulates. That's The Healthy Fat, thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. 20% off your first order. You should probably do it. That's what I'm going to say. You should probably do it. There has to be justice for everybody to see. Look, I understand the rub that a lot of Black people have with law enforcement. They see rich white people who are bad actors get away with all sorts of stuff, mostly politicians. Whereas they say that if they're driving down the street and an officer sees them and they sees that they're Black, they're going to get pulled over. Now, is that an extreme statement? Yes, but do you understand why it's said? I do. And America's Black population, the working class too, even the poor, we're paying attention. We're paying attention. You ought not get rich while people die. I don't know. It should be basic, something we all agree on, right?
I think you should not gain while other people suffer, period. I don't care what it is. If it's money, if it's fame.
And yeah, we saw it all the time.
Yeah.
I am so twisted right now in my mind, and I'm sorry if I sound odd. I hope it all makes sense today, but I'm really angry right now. And I haven't been able to bury it or compartmentalize it so I can talk about it later in my mind. It just went bleh. I don't like bad people.
I look at it this way. It's like, I want to know if you're a racist. I want to know that's why I love the freedom of speech. I want to see you coming. Now we all see Anthony Fauci. We see our government. We see them lying. Everyone sees them coming now. That's only a good thing. I need to calm you down.
I have no business doing so, but I'm going to anyway. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. I am just so tired of every day the laundry list of new ways we've been screwed. Of new ways someone has stolen our money, shaken our confidence, completely changed what we thought was right and wrong with no consequence. I would never hurt you. And while I joke on this program that if I saw Dr. Fauci, I would love to throat punch him and throw him down the stairs, of course I would not. If people were around, maybe. There just has to be a point where the pendulum swings and there are more good stories and good people to celebrate than stories of fraud and diabolical, dastardly evil. You know, I think that's part of the reason why people walk around so miserable. When you have a price and you're willing to sell out, whether it's someone you love or a total stranger, and harm them, and walk away and not have it eat you alive. I don't understand that. So John Solomon comes out and he puts out this video, and it's not typical John Solomon, right? He is this weird kind of liaison between the Trump administration and the media. As a member of the media, the owner of justthenews.com, regular on Steve Bannon's War Room, and it's on Steve Bannon's War Room that he drops this very interesting comment yesterday. He says, John Solomon says there are 3 Republicans who are basically providing safe haven to Trump hater John Brennan, former CIA director, Russia guy. He was in the Oval with all of them when they concocted this whole mess. Let's take out Trump. We can't find anything on him, so we're going to make it up. Cue the dossier and all the nonsense, right? See, all of these details are important to know because the Trump administration, the DOJ, with Joe DeGenova, is presenting this grand conspiracy case. And the grand conspiracy goes well back before certain statutes of limitations run out. If you can say that there's a grand conspiracy to take down somebody or to destroy the government or to create this new liberal world order, which is what Joe DeGenova is trying to do for Trump, right? If you could do that, you can expose things. You can flush out the RINOs and the deep staters. You can expose the bad actors, carve them out of government, punish them as appropriate, call out the media for being complicit partners and propagandists, right? And hopefully get things back on track. But when you find out that there are a couple of Republicans that are stopping that from happening, you've got to say, what in Sam Hill is going on? And so without further ado, this is what John Solomon said last night on the War Room, and it's huge. Listen.
I can tell you with 100% certainty that Republicans are obstructing the investigation into weaponization. There are 2 Republicans I can name by name, Senator John Thune and Senator Tom Cotton. They have refused for months now. The first request came in late January, early February. They are refusing thus far to provide to Joe DeGenova, to the prosecutors in Florida, to the Miami U.S. Attorney, to the Justice Department, the transcripts of John Brennan's interviews with the Senate Intelligence Committee. They have refused to do so. I'm going to call out a third name because I don't understand the Justice Department's behavior. When a body that's separate of the executive branch doesn't comply, every other time in American history, go back to Iran-Contra, go back to Watergate, the Justice Department subpoenas the Congress. For some reason, the acting Attorney General, who wants to be the permanent Attorney General, has not authorized a subpoena to the United States Senate to get those documents. Those documents will allow the prosecutors in Miami to decide whether the charges are warranted against John Brennan.
You know, again, this process is important. This is vital. You have to know these things. You have to see the obstructionist ways of people who pretend to be Republicans but aren't. They are self-serving, in name only conservatives. Why has Todd Blanche failed to force the U.S. Senate to release these documents? Why has he failed to do it? Why? Unless he cannot be trusted. I don't know. Solomon says Senate Majority Leader John Thune and Senator Tom Cotton, who chairs, by the way, the Senate Intelligence Committee, have delayed providing the DOJ with requested Senate transcripts and records related to former CIA Director John Brennan. The delay involves materials from the Senate Intelligence and Judiciary Committees on topics including the January 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment on Russian election interference, which was bullcrap. Also, the Steele dossier's role in it and related collusion allegations. Why would Trump's attorney not be on that like white on freaking rice? Why would Thune and Cotton slow walk it unless they are RINOs who desperately, desperately don't want these details to come out? John Solomon's not done. He's like, these Republicans are not just obstructing, they're breaking the law and they should be subpoenaed. What?
The idea that Republican senators will not cooperate with the Republican administration is ridiculous politically, but it's illegal. It's obstruction. There ought to be a grand jury subpoena sitting in the Senate clerk's office, and there ought to be a court case yesterday compelling this because the Justice Department has been delayed by 8 months by 2 Republican senators who have the responsibility and the ability to deliver this. You want to get to the grand conspiracy case, you need the missing evidence, and the Senate possesses it. And as of this date, I can find no evidence they've turned it over, and there is no grand jury subpoena because the clerk of the Senate would have to report it publicly. I just checked the congressional record again today. So Todd Blanche, Tom Cotton, John Thune, you got some explaining to do to the War Room posse.
And to the rest of America. And now, of course, these jags want to go on a month-long recess. Right? So the DOJ under Trump requested fully unredacted, classified, and unclassified transcripts, interviews, depositions, briefings, hearings, and written responses by a February 23rd, 2026 deadline. It's now 6 months past that. This is all part of a Florida-based grand jury probe into possible false statements, obstruction, or related issues by Brennan and others involving the Russia collusion narrative and alleged weaponization of intelligence and law enforcement tools. Hey, Susan Collins, you're worried that Todd Blanche is trying to weaponize the government against, right, Trump's opponents. Look what they did. These people who you let into office, Senator Collins, these are the people who are weaponizing. These are the people who created the Russia collusion garbage, who impeached Trump for doing what? Coming down an escalator, daring to love America and say, I'll be your guy. Because of that. And so now, as we got Thune and Cotton refusing to declassify a key John Brennan transcript, we're hearing from Paul Sperry from Real Clear Investigations. This just in. DOJ sources tell him, he's an investigator, that Thune and Cotton are refusing to declassify this key John Brennan transcript, allegedly in order to protect then Senate Select Committee on Intelligence Chair Marco Rubio for a presidential run because Marco looks bad, apparently in this transcript, kissing Democrat Vice Chair Mark Warner's ass. That's a direct quote during the closed-door deposition. Really? You really think Tom Cotton and John Thune are working to protect Marco Rubio? Really? Meantime, you've got 20 Republican senators now saying about that August recess, yeah, we'll work through it. We need to pass the Save America Act. Ladies and gentlemen, like, we don't have a country if this stuff doesn't go through. I'm serious. That's not just some hyped up exaggeration from, an upset woman today. No, that's the truth. Because we're going to tell you about the 600 plus thousand voter registrations that were erased from an Arizona database the day before the 2020 election. That's going to be coming up in just a minute. I got a barn burner for you today. So 20 Senate patriots have stepped up, pledging to work through the recess to pass the Save America Act. Mike Lee, Rick Scott, Tommy Tuberville, Jim Banks, Ashley Moody, Darlene Graham, Bill Haggerty, Katie Britt, Todd Young, Marsha Blackburn, Eric Schmidt, Dave McCormick, Roger Marshall, Jim Risch, Ted Cruz, Mike Crapo, John Husted, James Langford, Ted Budd, and Josh Hawley. You know who's not on the list? John Thune, Tom Cotton, shocker. Also not there, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, John Kennedy, Ron Johnson, Tom Tillis, Dan Sullivan, and Cassidy. Also, the obviously dead Mitch McConnell. I mean, come on. How is it okay? How is it okay that the guy is allegedly in a hospital 3 miles away from the United States Senate and nobody can meander over there and do a well check, do a proof of life video? Nobody. It's all garbage. And the Republicans are as dirty as the Democrats. And that pisses me off. If you're going to be a louse, at least be a louse. Don't put on a fancy outfit to cover it up and pretend that you're not a louse. There's other stuff that's bombshell. That's right in front of me. I don't even have time to talk about it right now. This is what has to happen. You have to hear these things because you have to be as skeptical of everybody talking to you on a daily basis from our government as I needed to be skeptical of my freaking doctor. But I didn't know any better. Now we do. All right, you know what I'm going to do here instead, Brock? We're going to do this. Let's have a little fun. Let's cool me down. You ready? Remember Clay Travis's $10 million offer to wager a game between the women's professional basketball champions and a high school boys championship team of his choosing? Wah, wah. The woke left ain't happy about it. You will be, though, next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Anywho, I'm trying so hard. I really am. Let me tell you guys about Health Revolution. This is something that I think is super important. It's super easy. And I think it's worth a phone call or worth a fly by their website. info.healthrevolution.net. Write it down, put it in your toolbar right now. Then go up to your bookmarks and say add bookmark, just so it's saved, right? Because you might not need it now, but you might need it down the road. And I'm going to tell you it's easy. 800-868-6187, info.healthrevolution.net. Save 30 to 60% on your health insurance premium. Make your own health insurance policy. Choose the coverage you want. Ditch the coverage you don't need. Don't pay for it. How hard is that? Right? And it took them to figure it out, and they have. You get to see the doctor you want to see. Don't pay a copay, right? And then if you are in the hospital, that's about the only time you get a deductible, which is pretty significant. My oldest son, Michael, is getting a policy. He said, Mom, it's going to cost me about a couple $100 a month. I could probably do a couple $100 a month versus $600 a month. Thank you, Health Revolution. Save 30 to 60% now. If you're under the age of 65, you're in pretty good health. This is your baby. Claim it. Find out about it. It might be everything that you need. And if you have an adult child like mine who's off of your insurance, check it out. info.healthrevolution.net. The gracious way of looking at my frustration today is for me to say, if I did not go through that experience, I would not have fought so hard to have my family, and I wouldn't have it. I wouldn't have Ryan and Bobby and Chris. And so if I had to go through, and Joe had to watch me go through that, for me to have 3 of the most precious things in my world, okay, Okay. How much time do I have?
Minute 40. I think like most things, through the hard times come the great times. Makes you appreciate things a little more. Does it suck that it has to be through the hands of people that have nefarious outlooks on life? Any reason to go through hard times sucks, but that's when you find out who you are. It's when you find out what you can handle, and that what makes you appreciate the things that you thought you couldn't have, that you were never going to get on the other side. It makes getting on the other side 1,000 times better. It gives you perspective and the ability to help other people going through the same things that you don't think about. The words that you say that you never think helped anyone, it comes back and you find out it did, or you help someone through something because you went through it. Not minimizing what you're feeling right now, but it's Anthony Fauci's still a dirtbag, and we're going to do the candles. Because I almost said it. He needs to burn.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. We had a great time listening to Clay Travis yesterday. He made a very provocative comment and an offer to the WNBA. Now, some of the owners of these teams in the WNBA believe that transgender men or women, I guess, who are men, should be allowed to play in the league, which is patently idiotic, right? Men are stronger, men are faster, all of the common sense things that we don't need to litigate again. Apparently we do, because people in the NBA, WNBA, are woke and, quite frankly, stupid. Okay? I'm just going to say it. I don't have any time for you anymore. So Clay Travis comes out from Outkick and he's like, look, we're gonna do something here. In fact, let's play what he said, and then I want you to hear how how the absolute funless, is that even a word? I don't know. I'm gonna make it up. Funless woke LGBTQ crowd. And it's not all of them, but it's the ones that just want to be perpetually pissed. This one lady. Okay, this is what Clay Travis said yesterday to Jesse Waters. It's fabulous.
I have challenged the WNBA, which says, some of their coaches have been saying, that men who identify as women should be eligible to play in the league. Okay, now there's a French superstar, 21 points she's averaging, and by she I mean he, 20 rebounds a game. Okay, I want to do two things. One, I want to have a boys high school team versus the WNBA Las Vegas Aces. I'll put $10 million on the line. The boys are going to win. We're going to put it on pay-per-view. We're going to make a lot of money for charity. Secondly, Jesse, I am putting in an application to get a WNBA franchise for my home, Nashville. It's going to be the most inclusive team that has ever existed. Only trans, only men who identify as women on the team.
That's legendary. Now, did you feel like he was besmirching women, that he was mocking female athletes? No, he's right. He's raising attention to an idiotic comment that men can pretend to be women and should be able to play in their sports. It's just stupid. It's stupid, and it needs to be called out as stupid. And so he's creating this thing, $10 million. So, by the way, people would watch the snot out of it. And the WNBA would never go for it because they know they'd get the liver kicked out of them by a high school boys team. Hell, they'd get the snot kicked out of them by 14-year-olds. It's a fact, Jack. It's the way it goes. That's not being sexist. That's being realist. There's a difference. Unless you're this woke news babe in Minneapolis who is not at all pleased by this. Not at all.
Not all babe.
Not well. She looks like she's of the community. Let's just say. Let's just hear what she has to say. She's not happy. Aw.
One last thing tonight. The entire world of women's sports is facing the debate within its own leagues of who should get to play and who should not. And a voice that often shouts loudly in that debate is a right-leaning outlet owned by Fox News called Outkick Sports. And today its founder took to a new stunt, one that really makes no sense if Outkick is really concerned about caring about women in women's sports. So Clay Travis, he's the man behind Outkick. He announced today he's offering $10 million to the winner of a game of basketball between a high school boys team of his choosing and the WNBA defending champions, the Las Vegas Aces. I thought to myself, why? But obviously the answer is because he thinks it is so impossible for any group of women, let alone the best in the game, that they could ever beat younger and more inexperienced boys. It's a thinly veiled sexist joke, revealing the actual truth of how he and his organization feel about women's sports. It's not about caring about them. They think women's sports are a joke. Good night.
Oh, God, shut up. He called you out for being a nut job. If you are for men playing women's sports, there's something the matter with you. And I have no problem saying it every single day of the week to your face. That woman is the problem. That woman can't get out of her own damn victimhood. Well, I'm gay, clearly. So that's a strike. So I've got to see the world through a gay prism, right? That's got to be a hell of a burden. How do you lug that around with you? Right? Thank God she's not a minority. God knows how she'd do that double-barreled. Oh, you'd never get anywhere. She's got to be a victim. They got to be making fun of us. No, he's not making fun of you. He's illustrating the lunacy. And he's calling for a return to common sense. Brock, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, if she's so irate, why wouldn't she put money up against them? Be like, I have $1,000 to put up against for the women.
She has a feeling that he doesn't think the women would win. They wouldn't. They would get smoked. Let me tell you, as a mother of boys, it was about when Michael was 10, and I thought I could still take him. Yeah, he flipped me real quick, and I was like, well, we're going to have to now go to just guilt tripping and haunting, because that's how I'm going to manipulate you and rule your world, little boy. It's not going to be by grabbing your arms and being like, what were you thinking? Right? He's like, what are you thinking, touching me? And I'm like, well, we won't do that again. Lady, newsflash. We all see what's going on. We're waiting for you to catch up. It's not about being gay. It's not about being trans. It's not about being female. It's about having common sense. Right? And she don't got it. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. See, that got me out of my funk. I feel better now. Let's talk about this. Hour number 2, Anthony Fauci's fallout just got real. I wish I had my Fauci burn in hell candles made already. You're going to want to get one. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Imagine if
oh boy, you just opened that up to the radio audience.
Yes,
too.
I did. They're going to be like, what?
I might have to double the order.
Stat. Get on it, stat. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to say sleeping for me is one of the most wonderful 5 or 6 hours of the day. I look forward to it. I look forward to my mattress. I look forward to my sheets. But I also look forward to just totally zonking out. And I have very much been enjoying REM sleep by Healthy Cell. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. Natural ingredients, not drugs, so that you can turn off your mind and you feel it. You're all of a sudden like, good night. And you close your eyes and then that's that. Seriously, there's no tossing and turning. I'm not looking at the ceiling. All right, I'm going to tell you what's in it. Here we go. We have vitamin B, something or other, calcium, magnesium, sodium. Okay. L-theanine, 5-HTP, melatonin. That's helpful. Did you hear anything that was really hard to pronounce that comes from pharma? No. There's a reason for that. Doesn't have to be. There's so much great stuff we can take that doesn't involve a prescription. REM sleep, that deep REM sleep. Get it at healthycell.com/Wendy. I take it every night now. I love it. And I think the thing I like about it is because I take Healthy or Blood Flow 7, I sleep like a boulder anyway. But the benefit of the REM sleep is I find I'm much more alert and not groggy, and I don't feel tired, regardless of how many hours of sleep I've gotten.
So someone asked about the lighters are coming right now. What else are we doing right now? Something else. I can't remember. But here's the final, I think the final, and I have to get Wendy's approval, and I have not shown her yet. This is Demanda's final design for the Burn in Hell Anthony Fauci.
Wow. I say it's a go.
Yeah, if you can put a halo around them, you can put horns on them.
I say, yeah, that is a delicious go. I will burn that all. You know what? If nobody buys that, I will personally eat the cost happily and have them myself. I absolutely would.
Can I have one?
Yes. Of course you can have one. It was your idea. Wasn't it? It wasn't my idea. You have good ideas.
You poo-pooed it at first.
Did I?
I said, we
so.
should make Burn in Hell Anthony Fauci candles. Because you were bringing that candle in. And you showed me, and I was like,
this is a great idea. I probably did poo-poo it.
And then you came back later, and you're like, no, I kind of like that idea.
By the way, before I bounce off of Healthy Cell, I took this morning. What did I say to Brock?
You said you had like post-nasal drip. And
I had there's this, and it kind of chokes me, and I started feeling like a little right? A little ticklish back there, like the tickle in there. So I took the Immune Super Boost. It says, oh, for heaven's sakes, my eyes are so disappointingly poor. White blood cell support, immune response phytonutrients, immune cell activators, and protective antioxidants. Supports a strong and resilient immune system. God, I hate that. So I was like, where is it? It's so nice. Telling you, it's your own little microgel pharmacy without having prescriptions. It's the best. All right.
There's people saying, gonna buy one.
Right? I mean, honestly, wouldn't you?
Except for Darius, who says, I wouldn't buy one of those candles. I don't want that in my effer's face in my house.
I get it. I would be very happy to have it in my house, but burn it regularly. It would just represent my seething, smoldering disdain, loathing.
Flo says, I'll buy more than one.
I'll buy more than one. Yeah, that's my girl. Let's go.
Is this going to be like me not realizing that the Second Amendment commemorative gifts is what is coming out to saying 10 should be fine?
Right. Well, we'll get a handful, and then it's like 180. And you're like, what? So tell us, would you be interested in an Anthony Fauci Burn in Hell candle? In the comments section.
Please, in the comment, because
yes.
I can't keep up here.
And share something you'd like to tell me about Anthony Fauci, how you feel about him. Tell me what he did that
better yet,
has
do
you
both.
angry.
But if you would buy one, just put one.
Yeah, just put the number 1.
So I can just scroll through. And
now, granted, it's not mandated that you have to do that, of course, but we're just like ballpark. It's nice to find out because we have no freaking idea what's going to do.
I would have never thought that many shirts.
You would have never thought that many mugs.
No, oh, hell no. We didn't. We had to reorder.
Right.
Which we're going to put back in the store.
We're going to put some of the mugs. We're going to get, I think we're going to do 100 each?
Yeah.
Yeah, we sold like 600 of those. That's stupid. I mean, 600 of these. Except you guys don't have my nasty lipstick mark. That's so gross. Ew. Oh, well, it's mine. Suck it.
We're going to have Christmas ornaments with those on it.
All right, we got to get rocking and rolling because we've been saying we're going to do this a lot and it's not happening.
We'll have them by October. I talked to them.
Oh, nice. Well done. Excellent.
I take care of business.
Excellent.
I said I'd do it.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Is it going to be one side or another?
Yes.
Oh, that's going to be very cool.
You'll want to have her facing it See, no one. Everyone's gonna have you facing out,
That's not
and
true.
I'll have my nose in the tree like I'm in timeout.
No. All they have to do is every single time they, every now and again when they walk by, they'll just flip it, and they'll just be like, "Hi, Brock." That
Okay,
makes
goodbye.
sense, right?
And
Be
then
like,
they'll
"Hi,
flip it back
bye-bye."
over.
Yeah.
And my face will be stuffed in the tree with
Well,
sap.
so
all
will
over.
mine. All right, we'll be fine. You want skunk-scented wax party foul. Can you imagine? Hair up early. Moonlight. I'm just getting a little.
It's time.
I got mom's earrings.
We
Triple
gotta
play.
We gotta.
Triple play. I got my Bonnie going.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program. So look, I'm just going to tell you, if you're not part of our online community yet, and you're listening on the radio or on the podcast, you've got to join us. WendyBellRadio.com. You have to join this live chat. It is so enjoyable. So we're talking about putting out these Fauci candles. You guys remember the old Saint Fauci candles where people were like, "Oh, he's the greatest. He's the sexiest man alive." And I was like, what? What the hell is going on? Well, we've decided that because he's such a dirtbag, we're going to create a candle that's called the Burn in Hell Anthony Fauci candle. And you got to get on here and tell me if you want one, because we're going to do it. We're going to do it, and we're going to make them beautiful. It is going to be the greatest thing ever, and I think I'll feel good. People in the stream are like, Franken Fauci.
Did you see that? I'll buy one for my stupid liberal friends.
My loser liberal friends. I'll buy. This is a great idea. I could buy them for my loser liberal friends. Oh my gosh, you guys have given me new joy and life after I wanted to stab somebody. So I'm good. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about Fauci, because the fallout about him is real. And the Senate committee, Rand Paul Senate committee, has voted to hold him in contempt. I'll get you the latest here. Oh, it says access denied. Well, thank you very much for that. I can tell you, in fact, yes, they did vote to hold him in contempt. And now that's going to go to the DOJ, ostensibly, or what have you. But we're not getting a whole lot of movement out of the DOJ necessarily lately. Let's hear what Rand Paul had to say about these contempt charges being filed.
She sat before this committee in the witness chair under subpoena for conduct covered by the President Biden's full and unconditional pardon reaching back to 2014. Dr. Fauci faced no risk of federal prosecution. All he had to do was tell the truth. More than 100 times, though, he refused. The chair ruled that Dr. Fauci's assertion of the Fifth Amendment privilege was unsupported in light of the pardon and the testimony he offered in his opening statement. The chair directed Anthony Fauci to answer. He refused again. That is what we are voting on today. Not his opinions, not his policies, not anything he said from a podium 6 years ago. We are voting on whether a witness who has received the benefit of a sweeping federal pardon can be ordered by this committee to answer questions and then defy that order without consequence. More than 1 million Americans died from COVID. Many of them died alone. Workers were forced to choose between a mandate and a job they needed. Businesses closed and never reopened.
And that Democrats unilaterally vote against these policies, against holding him accountable for refusing to answer basic questions as though you don't deserve to know the answers, I find laughable. What is there to vote for Democrats anymore? What are you voting for? Voting for all the wrong things. You vote for illegal aliens getting rights that you don't have. You're voting for wide open borders. You're voting for policies that are absolutely cost prohibitive. You're voting for USAID and Act Blue and money laundering operations through non-government organizations that come back into the coffers of Democrats, namely Joe Biden. That's a fact. You vote, if you vote Democrat, you vote to support Anthony Fauci, to keep him protected from ever telling you the truth. How do you do that? I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that. Look in the mirror the next day and say, you know what? Oh, yeah. Well, how about this update? A little wrinkle. Fauci's HHS iPhone has been turned over to Senate investigators as this contempt vote happened. The iPhone transfer comes as Rand Paul's committee prepares to vote, did vote, on holding him in contempt. The cell phone was transferred from the Department of Health and Human Services to the Senate Homeland Security Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, chaired by Senator Ron Johnson. I just saw Ron Johnson on Fox News talking to Harris Faulkner about within the last hour. And he was telling her, look, got to tell you something. We've been asking for these records on Fauci, on his phone, on other things since 2025, since the beginning of 2025. Since this administration took over, Bobby Kennedy hasn't moved fast enough. Nothing is happening fast enough. Hello? What do you think we're so annoyed by? The population of this country is so tired of the lack of progress, of the lack of anything reasonable being accomplished, the lack of oversight, of accountability, of people being held and punished for what they do. Meanwhile, it's August. It's time for us to bounce to our month-long recess. In what world do you spend 60% of your job on vacation? Well, it's Joe Biden if you're president, and it's the Senate. A spokesperson for Ron Johnson told Fox News Digital the subcommittee obtained a copy of Dr. Fauci's iPhone that was used during his time at HHS. The committee's procurement of the phone, why can't we just say getting it, first reported by the Wall Street Journal, comes as the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee readies to decide, and they did decide, yes, contempt. They dumped 1,000 pages of his personal diary, and we are all being able to see for ourselves. It's a necessary step. Now, there are also states moving forward with their investigations. Attorney General in Florida, James Othmeyer, was on Fox, and he's like, look, we have officially subpoenaed Anthony Fauci. We have subpoenaed him to come and to testify and to give us documents. Listen.
Just about an hour or two ago, we issued a formal subpoena to Dr. Fauci under Florida state law, seeking a breadth of documents ranging to what he knew, when he knew it, his doubts about the safety and efficacy of vaccines that he's out there promoting. And we're really focused in on his self-dealing. Evidence has come to light that he was trying to personally profit off of this. This is outside of his government duties, his official role. He's trying to pursue book deals, awards, get connected with high rollers that, might help him come into millions and millions of dollars. This is wrong, and it could go towards a deceptive trade practice, fraud, public nuisance, you name it. I think there's many aspects of Florida law that now are implicated.
So what's the evidence that you're pointing out here?
Well, a lot of it, he revealed himself in this diary. We've got communications, emails with subordinates where he's asking them to help work on applications for these awards. We know one award in particular, he made $900,000 on that. Again, this is separate and independent from his government salary.
So let's talk about the kind of personality that does that has to squirrel away. We'll try to have communications with colleagues and other people to get basically suggested nominated for a bunch of awards that are monetary while your guidance is killing people. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it anymore. The things that he said. weren't based on science at all. It was garbage. We know it's garbage, and everybody experienced it was garbage. And while you were suffering and your kids were stuck at home where they were able to go back to school, but they told them to wear masks while they were playing basketball and such, that happened because that makes sense. Adults let that happen. He was conniving in the background, trying to get colleagues to nominate him. Here's one you can nominate me for, Phil. Thanks. Tony, what kind of diabolical, devilish, egocentric jerk would do that in a million years? I struggle. I don't know. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I think people are better than they are. I don't think Anthony Fauci is the norm, but he needs to be made the standard of punishment. He needs and must be forced to talk. You can't get a presidential pardon and do all sorts of stuff and then take the fifth and never answer anybody's questions. That cannot be the way our system works in this country. The same way you can't have millions of people on the voter rolls who are illegal. Whether they're illegal, they don't exist. They're dead. Right? That's not a system that is sustainable. And so here we are at this phenomenal impasse. Right? And Rand Paul says this whole making money during a global pandemic is so beyond the pale. We've got to stop it. Yes, Senator, listen.
It's something there should be a law against. No bureaucrat in the federal government should be getting million-dollar prizes. How can we say that doesn't influence their ability to make decisions? So I'm going to be introducing legislation when we come back in September to make it illegal to accept these monetary prizes. If you want to accept a prize and the money goes to charity, maybe we can allow that. But when the money goes into Anthony Fauci's back pocket, that and royalties, the royalties at the very least ought to be publicized and published in a report. But this, I think, just shouldn't happen, period. And we're going to do what we can to make it illegal.
Who's making $1 million, you guys? Made $1 million in 1 year off of these things, right? As you weren't allowed to go to your grandmother's funeral. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to make sense. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, radical Muslim Marxist Abdul El-Sayed's primary victory in Michigan. It's a lot bigger than we're even thinking about. It totally disrupts the Democrats' path to retake control of the Senate. And MS Now is even admitting it. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Let me tell you about Drink LTV. drinkltv.com/Wendy. LTV. What does that stand for? You think it was like something with liver. No, it's lifetime vitality. That's what it stands for. And this particular product is called Hydration Liver Support, right? Liver support, hydration. I had no idea that the sign of a potentially dehydrated liver is feeling bleh, is being bloated after you eat. And it's sort of like you have no energy. You feel like you're just a blob. You look in the mirror, your complexion is kind of gray. There's no zhuzh to you, no pizzazz, no fabulous like I am. It's because I'm drinking it. I think it's a very interesting product. I think it's something that should be researched. I think you should see if this is something that might work for you. It's marine. That's like M-A-U-R-E. Yeah, no. Marine, like ocean electrolytes and taurine and some other ingredients that are meant to basically rehydrate and keep hydrated your liver, which happens to be the hydration organ of your body. Right. And sadly, if you drink a gallon of water every 15 minutes, it's not hydrating your liver. These electrolytes, these marine electrolytes do. And that is why this particular drink mix is super exciting. I've been drinking it. I will tell you the citrus flavor I am a very big fan of. Can I tell you that all of a sudden I'm feeling this or that? I will tell you I have less bloating. I feel that, when you wake up and you're not bloated or anything, you're like, I actually feel a little bit thinner today. That's what I think. drinkltv.com/Wendy, up to 64% off. So this isn't something that's going to break the bank to try. I'm drinking it. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to drink the whole damn bag, and I'll get back to you. This is part of my, my cleansing ritual. Menopause is a bitch, I'll tell you. I don't need to put on 7 or 8 pounds. When you're 118 or 20 pounds, 7 or 8 pounds is a lot of weight. Get rid of it. Bye-bye. See ya. All right.
A lot of people interested in the candles.
Are they? What are they saying? 111111111.
Don't make it smell bad.
Mm-mm.
Because then you won't want to burn it. Well, I'm just thinking just the generic, unscented candle.
Yeah, I'm not
it's
so
a
sure.
Way not to have to charge. The more scents, the more it
I'm
costs.
trying to figure out what would be an apropos one, because you wouldn't want one that smelled
wood.
good. I would do one that smelled like burning redwood trees. When I was a little girl, my mom and dad took my sister and me to this redwood national forest where the trees, like the trunks are like this, and they go and they're hundreds of years old, and it's absolutely breathtaking. And in the gift store, my mom bought, it was like incense, and I was like, way hippie, like wow. And she would burn this, it's redwood incense. I don't like the smell of incense. It's just, it's like patchouli oil. No, it smells like a skate rat that I went to high school or college with.
When the priest will go like this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, I could see that. But the redwood always beautiful. I was like,
I don't want anything good about it. I just want them to burn.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. We want pain and suffering and ultimately being licked by the flames of hell. Right? I mean, like, if we're just going to say it straight. Oh, my goodness.
Eat the cost.
Right? Whatever. I'll work extra. How about that? Listen. And my, are we worth watching? Just kidding. Hey, MS Now is panicking. Aw. After Democrat voters are telling reporters on the street and others that they're voting for Mike Rogers, the Republican Senate candidate in Michigan, because Abdul El Sayed, the Democrat, became the Senate nominee for them. This is interesting. This news babe that you're going to hear from, Brock, I think we've ascertained that she drops 2 big whoppers on us, right? There's one.
Yeah, the MSN or MS Now has a huge fan.
She's like, a big fan walked up to me on a plane and told me that they have to vote for Mike Rogers because they can't handle Abdul El Sayed. He's too radical. They won't do it. I'm like, what? Brock's like, first of all, I don't think that anybody would ever go up to anybody on MS Now and be like, I love you. Well, let's listen in. This news babe, I don't know who she is, and I don't care, but she's admitting Michigan and the Democrat Party has a serious problem. Listen.
Spent 11-1 in this primary race. Republicans now see that as more winnable. This is the candidate they wanted. They're going to throw a ton of money at this to try to flip this seat. So I think people who are looking at this, particularly some Democrats who I've talked to, who are hoping that he will moderate some of his positions. I think one of the key ones to point to that he is not going to, you just heard him talking about Israel. And I want to tell you really quickly, as I was getting on the plane this morning, a guy who was a big fan of MS Now said to me, I'm anxious to see who wins. And I said, oh, did you vote? And he said, yes, I voted for Haley Stevens. And I said, oh, why? And he said, well, because of Israel. And I don't like the position that Abdul El-Sayed has on Israel. And in fact, if he wins, I will be voting for Mike Rogers. And you could not get more far apart, right, from two candidates than Mike Rogers and even Haley Stevens. But it's going to be interesting to listen to that, because this has been a primary conversation within this campaign. A campaign, though, that they clearly are celebrating.
Yeah, Mike Rogers, the difference is, doesn't hate Jews. So, that might be something salient.
Can I ask the question, where was this Democrat big, huge fan of MS Now before? Because no one in the Democratic Party, including other Jews like Chuck Schumer, are now supporting this guy.
Yeah.
So where's this voter at?
Make it make sense, ladies and gentlemen. The Jewish thing is something important, because Alan Dershowitz we have on deck coming up later in the show. He's going to be talking to the Jewish voters, specifically in New York, but beyond. Now, beyond this MS Now babe, who's like, people are going to pull the lever for the Republican in this race because the Democrat isn't a Democrat. He's a freaking Muslim Marxist who's scary. Michigan Congresswoman Hillary Scholten tells Jake the Snake Tapper that El Sayed's choice of a campaign closer, like on the night before the primary, who did he decide to go and pal around with? That far left and Israel hating Hassan Piker, people who claim that we deserve 9/11 because we suck as America. Yeah, that's who Abdul El Sayed decided to campaign with his last night. Listen.
It for one of the highest offices in the United States of America, bringing in this very controversial individual to campaign for him. Not only did he bring him in earlier in the campaign, Jake, he brought him in as his closer here in Michigan. You think about this, right? Elections are about choices. What is the message that you want to send to your voters, right? And Abdul El Sayed chose to bring in Hassan Piker, not a Michigander, an outside podcast influencer who once said America deserved September 11. Just last week, he added a framed picture of the September 12 New York Times front page with the World Trade Towers burning in the background to show off on his Twitch stream.
Yep.
This is who Abdul El Sayed chose to bring in for his close.
Tells you a lot, doesn't it? And what's interesting is, coming up, I never liked her, I will admit. I thought Ronna McDaniel as an RNC chairperson she kind of got a little Fauci in her, right? She got a little used to the fame, the clicks, the flash cubes, all that. Remember how she went through her transformation, lost a bunch of weight, got Botox, lip injections, whatever the hell it was, tried to zhuzh up her appearance. And we're like, why don't you put a little hold on that? And instead, why don't we zhuzh up the Republican Party? Why don't we get some candidates who don't suck? How about we do that? How about we do something that doesn't involve rhinos? How about that? She couldn't accomplish that. She got axed. But she has an actually very interesting perspective about what's going on in Michigan. And Bill Hemmer at Fox News actually asks her about the math that the Senate, the Democrats need. They have to keep this seat. They have to have Abdul El Sayed win it. When we come back, let's take a trip in the Wayback Machine. We'll set the dial to Monday, October 7th, 2024, and a special election edition of 60 Minutes of Suck. Oh, it's worth it. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Tulip blooms. Do you guys have a part of your body? It's usually your feet or your elbows. That is just, it's just so calloused. It's so dry. It's so desperate for moisture that it's screaming at you. Because if there is that part of your body, I have its natural solution. It's called Epic Moisture. And it's from Tulip Blooms. I love their smell. If we could get candles that smelled like some of their stuff.
Did we talk to them?
I very much enjoy their fragrances. They're very light. They make it feel like you went to a place like Bedford Springs in Pennsylvania, which has this ridiculously overpriced spa, but it smells like heaven. So whenever I walk by it, I'm like, oh, I love that place. Epic Moisture. It's interesting. It's like a little bit of a clay, like a paste, and then you take some out and you heat it up with your heat from your hands. It kind of liquefies, and then you rub it into places, your heels, right? Depending on how you walk, maybe on your the front of your foot, get calluses, elbows get super snaggy, right? If you put on something and your skin goes, you're like, oh, I need some Epic Moisture. It's delicious. And this, I swear to God, would last you, oh my gosh, 6 months, 8 months. It's that concentrated. It says best by September of 2026. I better start using it. Stat. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. We make 10% on what you buy, which is wonderful. Yes, I mean, I don't turn down making money, but I think the connection with a magnificent family-run operated small business that has the most amazing skincare products, like once you start taking care of your skin, you're like, what the hell was I doing? It's so great. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. Save 10% with that, with my name. So worth it. Love it. This has me fussy today. I'm just going to say. I wonder how many, here's a question for you. And this is a legitimate question. And please answer in the comments section. Yes, I'm whoring, but I'm also interested. What percentage of voters who vote in our elections do you think are fraudulent? What percentage? 1%, 5%, 10%? What do you think? Honestly. Beyond that, here's a question. How many people are in Congress right now or in elected office who didn't actually win? I bet you that number would be astonishing. I highly doubt Alyssa Slotkin won. Highly doubt. This is why they don't want voter ID, of course. How else are we going to win? How else are we going to stay in charge? Ireland Contracting, let them be in charge of your home roofing project. I went through it. I will tell you, it took 3 days. And I have a pretty big roof. It took 3 days. First day they came and they ripped everything off. And it was like pieces of tarp and shingles flying all over the place. I was like, ah! And then before they leave, they pick up all that stuff. Like literally rooting through the ivy and picking up stuff. I'm like, I love you. And then the next day they laid all the, supplies out and based it. And then the third day it was done. I was like, okay, thank you. And they were gone. Bye-bye. Literally. I mean, that's what you want. I don't want to have to horse around with you or hassle with you. Ireland Contracting, 1-800-NEW-ROOF. IrelandContracting.com. Windows, too. Same thing. Don't go with one of those weird fly-by-night window companies. You want the best?
Someone said we should make Fauci dog poop bags.
Oh my God, that's funny.
My dog's poop is too good for Anthony Fauci. That's
right?
So funny. Then you could just throw it on the neighbor's yard.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are halfway through. This has gone fast.
Someone also said make those Fauci t-shirts.
I wouldn't want to wear his face on there.
No.
I'll burn it. I'd poopify it with a bag. Yeah, I would do that. I could do that. There's a very disturbing story at the end. 2:30. I hope you stay because it's gross, but we need to do it. We have
I'm
to
not
talk
going
about
anywhere.
it.
I need to get paid.
Yeah, tomorrow is Friday. You should be afraid. I like you afraid.
You said I should be afraid?
Right?
You wouldn't know what to do.
I wouldn't know what to do. You're absolutely correct. That's a fact. That's a fact, Jack. This LTV is totally growing on me. You know, I suspected things back in 2020, right before the election, because of Josh Shapiro, who was then the Attorney General of the state I live in, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And I think I'm going to end today's program with that actual soundbite because I think it kind of ties in a bow how those of us who paid attention in 2020 knew it was neither safe nor secure. And then when we saw the pile on anybody who wanted to ask questions, we saw the vilification, the demonizing, we saw the vote counting, the stopping and the starting. We saw the excuses. We saw the numbers change, that vertical jump, right, for Joe Biden, because that happens so much in polling, not. Statistical impossibilities happening left and right like it was no big deal. And we were supposed to just take it and be like, well, I thought Donald Trump was doing a good job, but I guess everybody wants that old guy who can't talk, right? 81 million people, like, who knew? Wow. Said nobody who was paying attention. We were all like, it's bullcrap. We know it's bullcrap. We're offended by it. And now we're watching you. And now we're paying attention to you. Huh. Well, did you know there was something really weird that happened the day before the 2020 election in November? There was a bunch of voter registrations that just went bzzzt off of a very specific database. Happened to be in Maricopa County, Arizona. Remember how they had the big recount? Oh, we're going to do this big thing. We're going to hire all these people. We're going to have cameras everywhere. And the count kept coming back. And in fact, every time the count came back, it was more for Joe Biden. That's not how the cheat happens. The cheat is getting the ballots into the system. We know this, which is why we want voter ID. Here's a headline for you, because this will piss you off. It should. TheFederalist.com, great site. Four prosecutors refused to pursue the hacker who was behind the 2020 breach of 633,000 Arizona voters. You ready for this? All right. After a hacker exfiltrated the data, that's called erased, got rid of, the data of 633,000 Maricopa County, Arizona voter records in 2020. Exactly 0 prosecutors at any level of government would prosecute despite urging from the FBI. I'm sorry? What are you talking about? Documents released Thursday morning by the White House Government Transparency Task Force. So this morning, detailed a massive data breach, an investigation by the FBI, a suspect who admitted to the crime, and a years-long attempt by the FBI to get anybody to prosecute, only to close the case due to a lack of prosecutor interest. Really? The suspect, perhaps to the chagrin of his attorney, admitted to all of the conduct involved, including that he noticed the vulnerability for quite some time. He considered himself a hobbyist hacker. In the fall and spring, he began looking for ways to exploit the site, an administration official said Wednesday on a call with reporters. He ultimately believes that over the course of a period of time, he extracted 1 million to 2 million voter registration records, and then he stored them in 4 gigabytes on his hard drive. About 930 records of the 633,000 included sensitive, non-public voter information, such as domestic violence victimization. Although no ballots were accused or accessed or changed and no registrations were changed, an administration official says the data breach displays a major vulnerability in the voting system and 2020 election the Democrats and the corporate press have persistently maintained was the most secure in history. The most secure in history. We played the mashup for you earlier this week. Literally, it's 5 minutes of hacks on the left, the deep state, and the media. That was the safest, most secure election ever. I'm like, that's kind of weird. That's like, that's an insurrection. That's an insurrection. What's that? Is that an insurrection? And kind of like that, you know? Safest, most secure. According to who? Like, who said that? Who said the shots were safe and effective? Oh, the science, the experts, those people. Got it. The first denial to prosecute. So we've got evidence, right? We have evidence. There's reams of evidence. There's mountains and rivers of evidence of fraud. You just don't have anybody willing to take the cases. Why? Because they didn't want to get tarred and feathered. Because there are some people, a lot of people in this country, who didn't do what was right because they don't believe north is still north, even in a thunderstorm. Doesn't matter. North is still North. People can yell at you. It doesn't matter. North is still North. Those words by Clarence Thomas matter, right? So then there's this thing here I want to play for you. Maricopa County's RNC vice chair. By the way, this is wild. The Arizona Senate audit of 2020 found 420,000 mail-in ballots had no signature match. 420,000 in Maricopa County alone. What? That's 25% of the mail-in ballots in Maricopa County. Could not be verified. 420,987 ballots out of 1.9 million. That is 1 in 4. In a state that Joe Biden won by the skin of his chinny chin chin. This is Scott Pelley, who interviewed a month before the 2024 election, right before 2024. He brought on Maricopa County RNC vice chair, a woman named Shelby Bush, on 60 Minutes. And she said, look, the evidence speaks for itself. Data does not lie. Election officials do. You can't certify an election when 1 in 4 of the ballots doesn't have a freaking signature unless you're corrupt as stones, which of course we know. So listen to Scott Pelley, who doesn't interview Shelby Bush. He berates her, calls her basically novice, doesn't know what she's doing, right? Then calls her a conspiracy. That gross. 25% in Maricopa County, no signature verification. We have it. Where's the court case? The judges refused to hear the case, Scott, you jerk. You know that, though, Scott. Here's Scott Pressler talking with Benny Johnson. He's asked, Scott Pressler is, how many illegal voters do you think are on the rolls? Let's just say where you are. In Pennsylvania. Oh, boy, buckle up for this one.
What would, given the data that you've collected in this, what would be your assessment for the number of illegal votes cast in Pennsylvania? 1%? 2%? Hundreds of thousands? Tens of thousands? Maybe 1,000?
Thank you. Let me give you context. So Pike County is a red county, and it's very small. It's at the border of New York, New Jersey, and PA. Even that small county, and by the way, they gave us the last decade of their non-juror list. Thank you, Pike County. We found non-citizen matches in that county. We found hundreds in Center County, where Penn State University is, and Charlie made an indelible impact in Center County. And from the thousands of non-juror that we hand transcribed from Philly, so far from cross-referencing the voter rolls, it appears that 1/4 of the non-jurors appear to be alleged illegal alien voters. And so this is a state that has come down to less than 5 percentage point victories. And I can tell you that we are finding actual, active non-citizens registered to vote and voting. But here's the last thing, because Secretary Al Schmidt, who oversees the elections, said that he has confidence that there are no non-citizens. Lancaster County just identified a non-citizen that was registered to vote via Motor Voter and PennDOT. And furthermore, we are also using something Benny called the DHS WOW list, which is the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens that have been apprehended by the Department of Homeland Security. So you know what we did, Benny? We took that massive list, cross-referenced it with the voter rolls, and some illegal aliens that have committed the most heinous crimes against women, against children, literal murderers, sex traffickers. Wouldn't you know it, some of these people have been popped as illegal alien voters in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So my message, Benny, to the secretary is the DOJ sent a warning that if election officials allow for non-citizens to vote this November, they will be held criminally liable. And I want to issue that very peaceful warning. You will be held criminally liable if you allow non-citizens to vote this November.
And isn't that interesting? Scott announcing that he discovered 1/4 of the illegals in Philadelphia were active voters on the Pennsylvania voter rolls. He turned his data over to the DOJ. They're threatening federal criminal prosecutions against Democrat state officials for election fraud if they don't clean up the system. Now, I want you to consider this before we go to break. The states that Joe Biden, quote unquote, won in 2020 by the narrowest margins. They're Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Nevada, and Michigan. He won by 0.2 percentage points in Georgia, 11,779 votes. Joe Biden won Arizona by 0.3 points, 10,457 votes. Joe Biden won Wisconsin with 0.6 points, 20,682 votes. Pennsylvania, 1.2 points, 555 votes. Nevada by 2.4 points, and Michigan by 2.8. They're all swing states. They're all swing states. And you know what also Georgia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, and Michigan all did too? They all stopped and started counting votes on election night 2020 and into the next day. You don't say. The areas where Joe Biden won, shockingly, by the skin of his chinny chin chin at the last moment, were those very areas where they stopped and started, stopped and started, stopped and started. And with each start, my, Joe Biden, magic. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, former Democrat Alan Dershowitz has a message for America's 7.5 million Jews. Next. Wendy loves gold. Wendy loves gold. So I got a great question from somebody. They're like, hey, if I buy a bunch of gold and silver from Wendy Loves Gold, and their guarantee is you will never sell back your precious metals to them for less than what you bought them for. You will never lose money, is what they say. That's a huge guarantee. And this individual said, well, how about if you give it to your children? Do your children, if they want to sell it back, does the same rule apply? And I'm like, I don't know. It's a great question. So I copied and pasted and sent it to my friend at Texas Bullion Exchange. And they'll get back to me. I'm sure the answer is yes. WendyLovesGold.com. Ask about how you can get up to a 6% in free bonus silver when you open a gold-backed IRA, right? Get your free gold guide, 855-927-5557, WendyLovesGold.com. You don't have to know about gold. You don't have to understand the value of it or how this all works. I didn't either, but I'll tell you, it is kind of addictive. Once you get a package and you hold a gold coin in your hand, you're like, whoop, I have to have more. Me wants more. And it's actually really fun to collect these beautiful coins from around the world. I love working with Wendy Loves Gold. I think they're wonderful people. And they've been very responsive when you guys have had issues or questions or what have you. They've gotten on them right away. So 855-927-5557, WendyLovesGold.com. So how about that? The smallest margins of victory happen in the cities and the states where the voting stopped and started. All the same states: Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Nevada, and Michigan. Yeah, right? Touche, Brock. I really like the smell. Let's see. Oh, God, I can never open this one. This
How
one's
come
really
you never offered me that stuff for my feet?
Did you want to try it? Epic Moisture? I can send it home with you if you help me open up Tulip Soothe.
If I help you, what?
If you help me open up this one, I can't open it up. God.
You're just loosening.
I'm just loosening. No, this is why the WNBA would be smoked by teen boys. I don't know. This is nice, though. Thank you very much. I love this one. Wait, I use that. I like this one too. Tulip Soothe that has a little bit of a.
This smells.
Oh, it smells so good.
That has almost like a Vicks.
This has a eucalyptus. Tulip Soothe, the one for pain and whatnot. They just glide on. They're just wonderful. I hope you love that. It smells good.
Yeah, it has almost like a, I don't want to say sawdust, but like a
sawdust. Really?
It's not feminine.
No. There's a fragrance that a lot of people are wearing out there that I can't stand. So I should walk around with my own spray and just be like, hey, psht, now you're better. That's not diabolical.
Don't you have a spray coming out?
I am testing them right now. Yes.
Be like a skunk spray.
I'm in the process.
TK 1216. I love all my tulip blooms. You know, for the people of you, I've never heard anyone say anything bad. And that's
stuff, and it's not
odd.
greasy. Like it's.
No.
I'm gonna do Spencer Pratt first.
No.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Before I go too long in this segment, I wanted to dredge this up. Brock helped me find this morning. One of the most recent Spencer Pratt videos was about how he has no doubt that the votes being counted correctly in Los Angeles in the mayor's race that he lost, right? He's like, it's not about counting the ballots. That's not the issue. The issue is sending in the fake ballots. We got to figure that stuff out. That's what this all boils down to. We can audit an election all day long. The evidence is there, right? You're going to find the same results over and over again. The real issue is stopping the fake votes from coming in the first place. Here's Spencer.
All the fraud that does occur happens long before the ballots even hit this building. People have been pushing me to demand a recount. Why? You could recount these anonymous ballots 100 times. You'll get the same exact result. I have no doubt that they are doing a flawless job of accurately counting every single ballot in here with robotic precision. The fraud isn't here. It's here on Skid Row, where homeless people are paid a couple bucks for their ballots.
Or it's here in Pennsylvania in Pike County where 1 in 4 people registered is an illegal or what have you. What's going on? Or it's Maricopa County where 1 in 4 ballots had no signature verification. Right? Pass the SAVE Act. That's why they can't, because it stops the cheat. Thune doesn't want the cheat to stop. He's dirty. He's a dirty RINO on a revenge tour who thinks he's going to get reelected. What a schmuck. Alan Dershowitz said something yesterday that was very interesting. He's just absolutely fit to be tied over what's going on in New York City. Zohran Mamdani chasing out people of wealth, demonizing people who actually go to work and make money and create stuff. And he has a message for America's Jews. He's like, remember how the Jews voted for Hitler and ended up dead? Yeah, you're basically walking yourself to your own gas chamber. Listen.
I have to tell you that the real problem are Jews. Jews in the Upper West Side, Jews in the Upper East Side, Jews in Park Slope, the Jews who voted for Mamdani. Remember, 7,000 Jews voted for Adolf Hitler in 1932. Most of them ended up in the gas chambers. And these idiot Jews, they have no idea what they're doing. And, people say Jews are smart. Yeah, they're smart Jews. Some of the dumbest people I've ever met are Jews from Park Slope and Upper East Side and Upper West Side who don't understand where their own interests lie. Im ein ani li mi li. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am for myself alone, what am I? That's Hillel. You don't need Hillel to understand that any Jew who votes for Mamdani is a self-hater. You can't do that. You can't vote for somebody who marginalizes Jews, discriminates against Jews, hates Israel, calls Israel a genocidal state falsely. No self-respecting Jews should do that.
You gotta do your research. You have to be responsible for doing your own homework. That's the moral of the story. That's what the Maricopa County GOP co-chair, RNC co-chair Shelby Bush was trying to say to a sanctimonious loser in Scott Pelley, who sat there like a fat cat with his legs crossed as he chastises her. So you're self-taught when it comes to election fraud. Is that right? You work in a medical practice. What gives you the right to ask any questions about this? Who are you? I'm a concerned freaking citizen, Scott. And I've done more research than you ever did, you king of blowhardia. How dare you finger wag me? And what did Shelby Bush say? Very calmly. She was like, look, I'm not putting it out for any other reason than people to find it, to use their God-given gift of common sense, to process, double-check me, and decide for themselves. Do you trust your elections? Or do you believe they're dirty? That's it. Scott Pelley and these people, this whole chapter of just disgusting American history has sure exposed a lot of people who desperately demand that you respect them. They want to be the ones, their go-to, your go-to. There's a reason why that cat's sacked. There's a reason why Anderson Cooper walked away from 60 Minutes. America is catching on, albeit slowly, but it's happening. When we come back, hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program, now's a really good time for, I'll just say, the Jews to realize that the Democrats don't have their back. And I've got proof of that. Staggering next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Jews, yeah. Democrat don't got your back. It's a bummer, but it's true. 100%. Blood Flow 7. You know, this is a very interesting testimonial I received. Hey, Wendy, in 2021, I came down with a severe case of COVID. Blood clots in my lungs, DVT in my right leg, spent 8 days in the hospital. Woof. Fast forward to this past April, I went to the ER because I suspected another blood clot in my left leg. I was right. Anyway, I had a follow-up appointment with my hematologist. I informed him that I'd been taking Blood Flow 7 for about 2 weeks. He looked at the bottle and he informed me that Blood Flow 7 is as beneficial as they claim. He said it would also be useful in preventing heart attacks and strokes. I was surprised to hear a doctor endorse a product that wasn't manufactured by pharma. My surprise didn't end there. Juvenon sent me a survey. I gave them 5 stars and told them exactly what I just told you. They sent me a code for $20 off my next bottle. Thank you, and Brock, for all you do. And thank you to your sponsors. Blood Flow 7. Blood Flow 7. Right? That's this. That's what I do. That's what I take. You don't fall down like mentally wise. You don't struggle stamina wise. You can exercise. You can walk. You can push yourself. You can do things that you didn't think you could do. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. 30% off always to the Wendy Bell Radio family. And it is fantastic. I would pay full price every single day for it. Shh. Don't tell him I said that. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. All right. I'm telling you that LTV is tasty. I took it. So it's a citrus flavor, right? So I got one of those Spindrifts. You guys ever get Spindrift? They have a multi-pack at Sam's Club, and I bought them. It's a lemon, there's a lime, and then there's a grapefruit one, which is actually quite refreshing. So to mix any of them with this, it's so good. It's so good. And I just want to keep drinking it. So I guess that's successful, right? All right, let's see how we're doing. How are you? 4652. That's awesome. We have 1.86 rumbles. That sucks. That sucks. I mean, but I trust you guys. You'll be great. You'll be great. Let me go into my bookmarks and see what I need to accomplish here. There we go. Oh, I already did that. What's the date? 6th. Okay.
Sniper scented candles.
What'd you say about Sniper?
Fauci should be a sniper scented candle.
So 20% off Sniper all month long. This is huge. This is huge. Go to disinfectwithsniper.com. It's just like the thing you've got to have in your house for this back to school season. Whether you have little kids who are in elementary school, kindergartners, you've got grown-ups, big kids going to college. You want them to have the tools that they need. And literally a spray bottle of Sniper, antibacterial, antimicrobial, hospital strength is, I mean, you don't even have to wipe it up for it to work. You could be like on your son's hockey pads, which smell like butt, or football pads or what have you that are just awful. I mean, just sweat in general is terrible, especially accumulated. Spray it and forget about it and watch. Smell the difference when you come back. The odor is gone. The germs are gone. This is the ultimate product, and I've never seen him put it on for a month for 20% off. Disinfectwithsniper.com. It's just all that.
He's never put it for a month. I insisted.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Nice. Well played, Brock. Maybe you can come back for another week.
I cut a deal.
Did you?
He wanted to do the first 2 weeks for back to school. I said, well, Wendy's going to miss the second week because she's taking her kids back to school. Like, what do you mean? Like,
right.
All kids go to school different times.
Mm-hmm.
So then we talked, and I said, just make it the whole month.
Yeah, get off the
that
dime.
way nobody loses out.
There's nothing like buying something full price that then gets discounted or missing the discount right after it's over. It's like, but our
Or
guy
right before. That's why we tell you, it is so bad, and he doesn't get a chance to listen because he's working. It's so bad that we tell you like 4 days before, don't buy.
Hey, I'd rather know.
Yeah.
I want to know. I don't want you guys to go home
bought
and
the hell out of it. I talked to him this morning. He said he got 70 orders for Sniper in 3 days. And someone inquired about a 55-gallon drum of it. So
that's awesome. By the way, I was sore here, and I put the Epic or the where's the painkiller one? The Tulip Soothe. Oh, here it is. Tulip Soothe. You guys got to try it. Let me just tell you, they got to try it. Kelly Morgan, More Gains Fitness, 90 Ignite. What are you doing between now and Thanksgiving? Changing how you eat, working out, drinking water, and getting your steps? Yeah. And then what happens when everybody comes to your house for Thanksgiving? They open the door and they're like, oh, are you on Ozempic? And you're like, no, 90 Ignite. Thank you. And they'll be like, what's that? And you'll say, it's a great way for me not to lose my muscle mass. I'm bulking up. I'm losing fat. I'm losing weight. I'm losing inches, all with Kelly Morgan's virtual help. Oh, yes. Morgainsfitness.com, MORGAINZ fitness.com. I'm just going to tell you it works. I'll show you another picture after the break, but stupid. It's so ridiculous.
Heather says she just bought 2 gallons of Sniper today.
Did she?
Yeah.
Well, she's smart.
She's got those horses.
She's got
They smell
animals.
like
She knows what's
poo.
going on.
Horses smell like
Horses smell like poo?
Well, they poo a lot.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain scared to death of Trump. Trump 75 million, 80 MAGA. They can't separate you from Make America Great Again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Well, you know, now would be that critical time where doing your own homework and having your own independent thought and not being malleable and manipulated by the propagandist media and not believing the people who swear to you that they're the experts and they know better. All the folks out there who tell you you're wrong. You're a conspiracy theorist. Now is a really good time to snap out all of that and do what you know needs to be done. And that's to think for yourself. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio Program. I know a lot of you do this already. There are a lot of people out there who are simply not paying attention. They have no idea. And I guess that's why they call it bliss, right? Ignorance is bliss because you can't worry about what you're unaware of. You can't trouble over it. You can just kind of be the beach ball on the ocean, bob around, not a care in the world. Well, Alan Dershowitz, we played his warning to Jews, specifically, obviously, Jews in New York City with Zoran Mamdani. But Jews in general with this wacky Marxist communist takeover of the Democratic Party. And the main tenet of that is screw Israel. We hate Israel. That's the whole socialist, communist, Marxist shtick. There's no more money to them. No mas. Well, wealthy Jewish Democrats in Michigan are... they're making some moves, you guys, and they're backing Republican Mike Rogers. Even as President Trump sees Abdul El-Sayed as easier for the GOP to beat than his defeated challenger Haley Stevens, I think the Jews know what's going on in Michigan. Large Jewish Dem donors. This is a headline on Western Journal. This is part of it. Look, you don't have to be Jewish. You don't have to care about Israel. I don't know why we wouldn't, but okay. To realize that there is a huge struggle going on in the Democratic Party. And it's going to come down to traditional Democrats to basically salvage what is left of the DNC. I want to read this to you. Republicans suddenly love their chances to flip a Michigan Senate seat in the 2026 midterm elections. An honest survey of the political landscape, however, should inspire a little bit more caution. With that in mind, Matthew Castle of the Jewish Insider reported Wednesday morning on the social media platform X that, quote, several large Jewish Dem donors will throw their support behind Republican Senate candidate Mike Rogers in the wake of Tuesday's Democrat primary victory by far-left candidate Abdul El-Sayed. A Democratic fundraiser in Michigan tells me it is absolutely certain that several large Jewish Dem donors will be backing Rogers. Castle wrote, I would guarantee that there will be fundraisers for him hosted by high-profile Jewish Democrats who really cannot believe how pervasive anti-Semitism is in this country. And it simply is. And that's it's like talking about pedophilia. It's disgusting. It is a scourge on our culture and our history, and it exists. And we have to be honest about that. I want you to hear this, though, as we talk about people holding their nose, Jewish donors holding their nose and being like, I'm going to go for the Republican guy because y'all are bat crap crazy. Former RNC chairwoman Ronna McDaniel says the GOP stands to make huge gains with the Democratic Socialists of America taking over the Democratic Party. Now, as I said earlier in the show, do not like Ronna McDaniel, don't think she was effective at all. She was effective in losing weight and, her facial products, but whatever. But she says something to Bill Hemmer that's interesting. The radical leftists running up and down ticket in her home state of Michigan are giving the GOP something they haven't had in the state for a long time. Sort of like this adrenaline boost that has been notably missing in several elections. Here's Ronna McDaniel with what's-his-face Hemmer. Listen.
Ronna, what does this victory mean? Not in a blue dot district in New York City, but in a purple state of Michigan.
Oh, I think this is going to energize Republicans who have been dormant a lot in the past few midterms, have sat out midterms, have not paid attention to the midterms, and suddenly they are awake and aware of the threat of the most dangerous ticket that Democrats have ever put forward. Not just with Syed. They have an attorney general nominee, a Soros-backed attorney general nominee named Ellie Savitt. Their Supreme Court nominees are radical. They are running on things like putting violent criminals back on the street. They have put violent criminals back on the street. So the ticket up and down on the Democrat side is very dangerous. And I think this might be the shot on the arm Republicans need to engage in a midterm where we haven't been engaging in the past two cycles.
Now, Bill Hummer does something interesting here, and it's sort of meandering, but it's great. He says, look, Michigan is one of 4 states the Democrats hope to flip, need to flip to regain control of the Senate. But with El Sayed, the Democrat candidate now, momentum from Mike Rogers has turned Michigan into a much harder state to flip. And if you cannot flip Michigan, where are you going to go to make up that seat that you need to regain control? Listen.
Rhonda, think about this right now in the battle for the Senate, okay? We've been using this in our power rankings for some time. Keep in mind, Democrats right now, they need to flip 4 seats that Republicans currently hold. But one of the seats that was leaning Democrat was Michigan. And like, how do you look at that right now? If this is considered maybe a toss-up or even a lean toward Republicans, that makes this challenge in Alaska, Iowa, Maine, and Ohio so much more difficult. But just take the Michigan case right now. If Mike Rogers were to take that seat from the Democrats, they need to go elsewhere in order to take control of the Senate. It seems at the moment that it's a much more difficult climb. How do you see it?
I absolutely agree. I mean, Chuck Schumer and the Democrat establishment, they were all in for Haley Stevens. She spent $60 million on TV. Syed spent $6 million on TV. And they wanted her to be their nominee because this disrupts their path to the Senate.
This disrupts their path to the Senate, which is why the Jewish Senator Chuck Schumer would go on to support the guy who does not like Jews, Abdul El-Sayed. Make that make sense for me. How does that work out for you guys? Does that work out for you? Are there some things that are simply disqualifying for you? I would think so if I was Jewish. What he said about Jews, Israel, Gaza, all of that would be disqualifying. This disrupts their path to the Senate, right? Regaining control. Stopping whatever Trump and the Republicans are doing. No more of these hearings. No more investigations into our criminality, into our disgustingness. It stops. That's why they're desperate. That's why a Jewish senator would throw his support behind somebody who hates Jews. That's freaky. That's where we are. That's your Democratic Party. Wow. John Fetterman says, hey, let's not stop with just blaming Chuck Schumer. He's got a different name he blames for helping to destroy the Democrat Party from within. And he's like, look, I'm tired of this dude's lectures. He never won a competitive race. I did. I flipped a seat. He can suck it. What? Listen.
But I'd just like to remind everybody watching right now, you know, Bernie Sanders will never represent any more than 640,000 people in Vermont. That's all he's ever done and he ever will do. You know, he's never won an actual competitive election. And now why can't, stop giving me lectures on how to win. Bernie's not flipping seats. He is helping install volatile and dangerous kinds of candidates and now put, Democratic seats at risk. I've flipped seats. Now, he's never done that thing. I'm tired of his lectures, overall. And now he claims that he's not a member of the Democratic Party. Why can't the DSA people just, they should just run and there's their own party. And now I think it's important to remind people, who is driving a lot of this conversation.
Who is driving a lot of this conversation are the people who gave rise to it. Bernie invited in AOC, which gave birth to Rashida Tlaib, which then gave birth to Ilhan Omar and spawned people like what's-his-face, Jamal Bowman. And who else? Cori Bush and all of these other toxic people. You let those people in. under the guise of inclusion. Because they're like, what, all minorities? We're all in this together. Oh, except when they start to eat your party alive, right? It's like mating with a Black Widow. Might be fun in the moment, but then she eats you. Okay? That's where we are. That's the Democratic Party. When we come, that was a good one, you have to admit. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, man, what a difference a primary makes. In just 3 days, the odds of the Michigan Senate seat going Republican and not Democrat have totally flipped. What next?
Might be fun in the moment.
And then she eats you. I mean,
It's
isn't that the
mantis,
case?
Doesn't it? Don't they mate and then the female bites the head
Praying
of the male
mantis
off?
does not do that. The praying mantis is a docile,
No.
friendly creature.
I'm
like,
talking about
like manatees.
See, the thing is
I
the
don't know. You're
female
probably right.
praying mantis bites the head off the male, but what she's really doing is him a favor because it could nag him for the rest of his life and bite his head off every day and nag the hell out of him.
Wow.
So, I mean,
noted.
Just
I hope Kate's not listening.
Just saying.
Right? Wow, that's unfortunate.
I'm just.
Oh, that's right. I'm just being a liberal right now. And I'm going to be like, what? What'd you hear? I didn't say that.
All I said was that praying mantis could get it every day, but at least he's only getting it once. Take it the way you want to take it.
GLP-1 Gold. I will say what Depo-Provera and my revelation and understanding what I was given, injected 25 years ago. I can say now I actually read the labels. I go and I research companies. And when an advertiser comes to me, a sponsor, and they're like, hey, we'd like you to peddle our stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't use your stuff. And they're like, well, maybe you should. And I'm like, well, maybe I should. Why don't you tell me about it? And then they do, and they send me it. And then I do a dive and I go around them and I look at stuff and I read reviews and we investigate these people before we bring them to you, right? And you know that we'll ditch an advertiser if if they're not up to your standards. We will, aka Canolidine, which I use commonly but will not talk about, which sucks. GLP-1 Gold is just a wonderful appetite suppressant. It's a dietary supplement, again, by our friends at Juvenon. That's the same landing page that you go to for Bloodflow 7, bloodflow7.com/Wendy. This is their number one weight loss product, and it works, like I said, to completely, 86 your hunger and destroy your food craving. So you're not like, whoa, I have to have fries. Though I could go for some fries with gravy on them. Doesn't that sound good? Gravy fries.
I'd go for some wings right now.
Or I could go for a chicken fried steak slathered in gravy. That sounds good. Right. Anyway, you're not going to think about that when you're taking GLP-1 Gold because you're not hungry. I'm just going to say you're not. And it's a very easy, affordable way to lose steadily increasing large amounts of weight. This is for people who have 30, 40, 80 pounds to lose. This is one of your offerings. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Don't you guys think they should be like this? Right? Yeah, this one doesn't smell like anything, which leaves me feeling empty. Like I don't want it to smell
good. Let's
good.
not make it harder than it has to be.
I'm not saying it is.
And I'm getting a lot of support for my praying mantis comment.
Does the female praying mantis bite the head off?
Mm-hmm.
Is that so? I didn't know that. Praying mantis, female bites.
Doing a favor.
Male head. Let's see.
She takes it all at once. She doesn't a little at a time.
Well, that's a nice way to do it. I mean, if you're going to go, you might as well go fast. The female praying mantises sometimes bite off and eat the male's head, a behavior called sexual cannibalism. However, it is not universal. Studies suggest that among species known to exhibit it, females consume males roughly 13 to 28% of the time. Wow, that's a very specific number. It's not like, about 10%. They're like, 13 to 28. You're like, you've been watching. And it appears less common in the wild
Poor guys.
than in captivity.
Mm-hmm. Well, exactly. Same.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. So this is interesting. On Twitter right now, X Interactive Polls has this as a top line. The Economist apparently is doing a poll, and it says Michigan Senate forecast, and then in parentheses it says win probability. August 3rd. So what was that? Was that Monday? 3rd, 4th, 5th. Yes, Monday. As of Monday, the chance of the seat up for grabs that Rogers and El Sayed are going for had an 84% probability of going to the Democrat, El Sayed, or whomever the Democrat was going to be, right? 16% chance it was going to go to the Republican. Then, 3 days later, today, the chance of that Senate seat going to the Republican Mike Rogers is now 52%, and for Abdul El Sayed, 48%. That is a monstrous collapse from 84% probability going to the Democrat candidate, August 3rd, to now a 48% chance of Abdul El Sayed winning that seat. And then the Republican, 16% going up to 52. Wowza. Yeah, people don't want radical. They don't want extreme. And you have to ask yourself, the college kids can't be that mental universally, right? They can't be that dumb. I mean, they can, but I hope not. To be like, yeah, what he's saying. I never want to work again. It's like COVID created the perfect petri dish. It's like that ripe, soft, fluffy, welcoming uterus, welcoming in an egg for fertilization. Come here, sweet little boy. Hang out, get big, grow into a baby. Well, that's what's going on in the Democrat Party. And the idea is Marxism, socialism, what? Communism. We've got that ripe uterus. Come on in. Come in and grow. Yeah, nobody wants that because the baby who's born hates America. And we got enough people like that right now. Enough people who either hate America or love themselves and their own enrichment more than they care about you or anything else. Ted Cruz was interviewing a counterterrorism expert about Michigan in general and about El Sayed specifically. And he asks a very important question to this counterterrorism expert about the kind of person Michigan will get if they say, you know what, I like that Democrat guy. He's radical and weird, but I like him better. This is what you're going to get. Listen.
Do you believe that there is a Muslim Brotherhood branch operating in the United States?
Yes.
Does Abdul El Sayed's candidacy for senator in Michigan concern you?
Yes, sir, it does.
Why is that?
Well, to begin with, I look at the connections that his father-in-law, Chakaku Tayyib, has to Brotherhood-linked groups. This includes being the president at one time of CARE Michigan, also his presence on the Islamic Society of North America Founders Committee, which is only for those most exclusively devoted to ISNA and provides significant amounts of funding. There are other known Brotherhood members on that committee. I would also look at El Sayed's ties to a group called Mgage, which purports to be a Muslim sort of get out the vote or candidate recruitment organization, but it has close ties to CARE. It was created by a former CARE member who at one time was on a terror watch list and was also a consultant to convicted terrorist Sami al-Arian.
That I've got nothing. I'm like, what? You know, America's youth, particularly those who are voting for these jacknards in Abdul El Sayed and Zohran Mamdani and others, if you believe they actually won. And the Zohran Mamdani case is getting extraordinarily lugubrious. I'm just going to say that because more information now. There's now a third independent study that says his margin of victory was within the margin of alleged fraud. So it is entirely possible he didn't win at all. And that what's his face Cuomo, womanizing Cuomo actually did win because that louse is better than this louse, right? Did you know the Muslim Brotherhood is a transnational Sunni Islamic movement founded in Egypt in 1928? Well, you know what? The people who are born after 9/11, they don't know what we watched. They didn't watch the towers fall. They didn't pay attention to the people roaming New York City for weeks after that with sandwich board signs on asking for help. Have you seen my wife? Have you seen my son? And whether you believe the story of 9/11 and what happened and who was behind it, and that's for debate. A lot of people don't want to say that, but it's true. You're allowed to be suspicious and skeptical. Inviting these kinds of ideas into our country is contrary to our basic founders' vision of what this place is. It's based on freedom, and Islam is not. And that's a problem. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, this is a story you guys, are you guys organ donors on your driver's license? Organ donors? Yeah, we're going to rethink that for a minute, and I'll explain why next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I was an organ donor. You guys organ donors?
Was.
You know, and I can say there are wives' tales and legends of don't be an organ donor because if you're in a horrible accident, but you're not dead, they might work less hard to save you because your organs on the black market or what have you are very valuable to people. Can you imagine letting somebody die so you could take out their liver and sell it? Blah, no.
Wasn't there an episode of Bones about that?
I don't know, but we had enough conversations with Oscar Blue about it. Remember when he was our correspondent and he was down there and walking along the Darien Gap? And he's like, yeah, there are bodies, disemboweled bodies in the Darien Gap where, oh, you look good, you know, knock you out or what have you, cut you open and off you go. What? Yeah, the barbarism that I can't fathom.
Can I respond to an email I got?
Yes.
Megan, yes, we got the coffee pot.
Oh my gosh. Megan. What? Now, I just knocked my headphones out. Seriously, is this the same Megan who gave $1,000 to Dr. Mike for Greta the cat? This woman.
And when I find anything about the cat, I'll let you all know.
Brock mentioned a coffee pot. Enjoy. Why didn't you talk more about gold?
If I'd have known.
Megan.
Brock
I don't understand you.
Brock would also,
you're so great.
you know, I put in for a Jeep to try to win a Jeep, and the Willie
Jeep.
one, it's like 4 doors. And,
A Jeep.
Yeah. What else did I put in for?
What do you mean you put in for?
I don't know. Well, because that's what we were talking about.
Oh.
I put my tickets in while you hoarded the tequila. I thought of the two of us and put in for the coffee pot.
In the building that already has a coffee maker.
Well, that's garbage. That's it.
So you think we should give them the Chef IQ Pebble Ice maker and a coffee maker?
Well, I think I'd probably use the Pebble Ice maker more than anybody.
I'm going to get one. I'm getting one for outside.
I'd like one for outside.
On my patio.
Yeah. Wonder if they have a buy one, get one free.
Oh, for the love of all that is holy.
Guy, can I ask? The answer's always no if you don't ask.
All right, who am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting somebody.
Did you talk about Simkovich?
I have not.
Concussion Institute?
I have not. You know what's interesting here, and I have them pulled up, and this is interesting. Stacy Simkovich wrote me kind of some bullet points on why identifying, diagnosing, and treating a concussion isn't just some walk in the park. It's like not everybody can do it. Concussion is a type of brain injury, traumatic brain injury. Whether it's mild, moderate, or severe, creates chemical changes within the brain cells and makes it more difficult for the brain to function. Therefore, the effects of concussion can be really far-reaching. The signs and symptoms of a concussion are incredibly important because a concussion does not show up on imaging like an X-ray, a CT, or an MRI scan. And there's no objective test like drawing blood or saliva that can determine if a patient has one. Interesting. A doctor makes a concussion diagnosis based on the results of a comprehensive examination, which includes observing signs of concussion and patients reporting symptoms of a concussion appearing after an impact to the head of the body. Makes sense, right? Concussion signs and symptoms are the brain's way of showing it is injured and not functioning normally. Most are not aware of significant rate of concussion in the U.S. and worldwide. Traumatic brain injury accounts for 30% of all injury-related deaths worldwide. Wow. And is a leading cause of death and disability in the United States. In fact, the CDC, if you believe them, and I don't, estimate that 2.5 million people each year are approximately 2.5 million people a year go to the hospital, to the emergency room to be treated or at least evaluated for a concussion. So this is where Simkovich Concussion Institute comes in, 412-366-3700. Why? They're in Pittsburgh. You would fly into Pittsburgh and you would see Dr. Simkovich after you get an MRI and he can see everything and talk to you, blah, blah, blah. You'd come in and you'd have this intense treatment. It'd be like 3 to 5 days, usually 3 or 4 days. And it's like literally hours on end where you are their focus. This is you, you're the focus. And they're going to fix you. And at the end of those 3 or 4 days, you're done. You're fixed. You're healed. You're going home. That's what I'm talking about. I don't want to wait. I don't want to schedule an appointment to see you in a month. I want you now. I wanted you yesterday. I want you now. And that's what Dr. Simkovich is about. Let's fix you. Let's fix you now. 412-366-3700. Look, people come in from all over the country. All over the country. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. Muslim Brotherhood, 1928. Hating America. Hey, and a warm thank you to those of you who have downloaded our podcast onto your devices. 8.5 million of you. I mean, that's nuts. Thank you, Wendy Bell Radio. Search it and take us with you wherever you go. We're just delighted that you're part of our family, so thank you. Is there no scam that is like too disgusting to stop? Like some of the things that happen in this country that just defy logic and common decency. Imagine this. A man wakes up on an operating table naked. He's being bathed in a surgical solution. His chest is being shaved as surgeons are preparing to harvest his organs. What? Hello, I'm awake. Yeah, that happened. And yesterday, HHS Secretary RFK Jr. did something that was important. And he decertified Kentucky's organ procurement organization called Network for Hope. Why? Oh, I don't know. They ignored signs of life and people that they ended up taking organs from. That's code for people were alive and they took their organs and killed them. Barbaric. Barbaric. Now, if you've been with this program since Oscar Blue, our correspondent, Wendy Bell radio correspondent in Tijuana, Mexico, he was traveling through the Darien Gap, you know, where these caravans were coming up through South America. They were coming up through the Darien Gap, which is a notoriously awful place. There are coyotes, and the coyotes aren't, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your cartel members who prey on little girls and would rape them. Oscar talked to us about the bodies, the disemboweled bodies along the way, where the organs were just taken out and the shell of the human being was just left there to decompose. And he talked about the mud because of the rains in this very tropical area, that the rains that create mud and people would literally die stuck in the mud, could not get out. I mean, think about that. How awful. But the slicing and dicing of people to steal their organs, like it's hard to even imagine that. In what hellscape does that happen? Well, apparently in Kentucky, thanks to the Network for Hope. I want to read you this story because actually, not on my bingo card, CNN did a backstory on this, and they had done a Dr. Sanjay Gupta interview with this guy who woke up on the operating table as they're shaving his chest, ready to take out God knows what. I'm going to go with his heart, right? Here's the story from CNN. HHS shutting down Kentucky organ procurement group over safety concerns. I want to go like, that's the most understated thing ever I've heard. Well, yeah, we have some safety concerns. Hello? People were alive and they ignored their aliveness to cut into them and take their organs and kill them. That's more than a safety concern. That's called murder, right? The federal government is moving to shut down the organization that manages organ donations in the Kentucky region. U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said Wednesday, calling the organization, quote, a bad apple. When an organization entrusted with a gift of life repeatedly puts patients at risk, Kennedy said, the federal government has the duty to act, and that is why we are acting today. Well, the group, Louisville-based Network for Hope, said Wednesday it strongly disagrees with the move and will appeal. Yeah, whatever. Network for Hope has been under federal scrutiny for more than a year since a whistleblower who worked with an earlier version of the nonprofit told Congress about a case in which staff started to harvest a man's organs before he was actually dead. I don't know. I'm thinking there's a sequence to this, right? 1, I die. 2, you take my organs. Not 1, you take my organs, and 2, then I die, right? I mean, this is Network for Hope. Let's see. CNN was the first national news organization to speak with the man. His name is TJ Hoover, who survived that experience. Imagine that. In 2021, Hoover overdosed, and he was taken to the hospital in cardiac arrest after being unresponsive for several days. He woke up on the operating table as his chest was being shaved and his body bathed in surgical solution, and he heard staff discussing how they would take his organs. Hoover told his sister. A doctor finally called off the surgery, thank God, and Hoover was not operated on, but others were not that lucky. Apparently, earlier in the day, hospital staff had expressed concern that Hoover seemed aware of what was happening and was resisting the procedure. Yeah, see me, I'm awake. I know what you're doing. How about no? But the organ procurement organization kept pushing to go. Natasha Miller, a perfusionist who worked with the group at the time, told CNN. The family says they also had not been told that Hoover had regained consciousness and had cried while his body was being prepared. I'm going to go with the tears coming out of my eyes. I tell you, I'm awake. I'm alive. Hoover now lives with his sister in Richmond, Kentucky, and is undergoing physical therapy, extensive physical therapy and treatment, much of which they share on TikTok in an effort to inspire others. At the time Hoover's case came to light, Network for Hope said it had reviewed the case and, quote, remains confident that accepted practices and approved protocols were followed. It was the safest, most secure election ever. It also said the case has been inaccurately represented. Look, we don't take from all live people, just some. It's not a big deal. I mean, they're going to die someday anyway, right? Hoover and his sister, Donna Rohrer, attended an HHS news conference Wednesday. TJ, we are grateful that you're here. We're grateful to those physicians who had the courage to do the right thing, Kennedy told them. TJ's story is a powerful reminder that every safeguard exists for a reason. Most organ procurement organizations carry out this work with professional compassion, deep respect for both donors and recipients. But imagine the money involved with these organs. So he's not dead yet. I mean, he seems like he might wake up, but maybe not. We can make a lot of money off of this. Whoever would do that? Like, whoever would do that? I don't know. Network for Hope was created in 2024 through the merger of Kentucky organ donor affiliates with Life Center Organ Donor Network. Last year, an investigation by the Health Resources and Services Administration into Hoover's case and other suspected problems with Kentucky organ donor affiliates found that of the 351 cases it examined, in which organ donation was authorized but ultimately not completed, more than 100 had concerning features, including 73 patients with neurological signs that were incompatible with organ donation. That's called code for they were dead. Their brains were functional. And they were like, well, what do you think? What do you think, Bill? I don't know, Sheila. What are you thinking? Well, I mean, how alive is he? Ew. Evidence pointed to poor neurological assessments, you think, a lack of coordination with medical teams, questionable consent practices, and misclassification of causes of death. Network for Hope at the time said it was fully committed to transparency. Oh, we'll open the books for everybody. All about that. And that they were in full compliance with all requirements of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, which regulates organ donation organizations. I'm going to think that number one on that list would be like, make sure people are dead, right? I mean, dead, then cut, dead, cut, not alive, cut, dead. That's not how we do it. Let's all pretend like we know what's going on here. Look, is this to disparage anybody who decides to give that greatest gift of life? No, I was a part of a phenomenal connection of an anonymous donor who gave a kidney to a stranger. And I was able to be there when they connected and met for lunch, and the recipient was able to thank the donor for doing something that she gained nothing for doing, except that thing that there is no price tag for. And it's that feeling of helping someone who's going to die without you, to be someone's 1 in a million match. Right? That's the goodness. That's the secret sauce. I'm just so damn tired of so many things being made dark and dirty, ostensibly over money. I can't imagine a dollar amount big enough for me to agree. Yeah, I'm sure he's dead. Let's just go for it. Ready? That's the thing so much of today. I don't understand. I don't understand the corrupt mind. I don't understand the devious person. I don't understand the Anthony Fauci's and the ego-based all of it. And the experiments and the nasty things that he did and the people, his policies and his plays killed. To go out there and to write in a diary that you believe that you're all that. You're the most famous person in the world. I'm the most famous person in the world. Literally, he said that. Who says that? While people are dying. I will never understand because I never want to. I never want it to stop being shocking. I never want it to become my new normal. And so we talk about it because we have to. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, I want to read something to you that was really my awakening in this whole chapter of self-education, about following what's going on, being educated, making the best decisions. And it happened the day before the election, 2020. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Right?
Think about, I hate to be this way, but you know, it's something going back to your monologue that we talked about. The money involved at the hospital level in a transplant is, my mom had one literally 33 years ago last month. It was over $1 million 33 years ago. So just think what it is now. You not just a transplant, because then you go into ICU and you go into the money that these hospitals can make on trans kids surgeries,
1.2 million.
IVF.
That's golly.
When you can't get pregnant because
What does that cost these days? 30, 40,000?
It's just, it's mind-boggling than how much money, and not just the money that goes, all the drugs that you have to take once you have a transplant.
And then what they cost in the hospital.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Dr. Mike gave his brother a kidney.
Like an Advil is like $427.
I have that story. So I go in for a seizure in the emergency room. I couldn't see. So that was one of the times I'm going in. I sat in the emergency room, didn't get a room or anything. I was in the hallway, and they brought me my pills, which I could have brought from home. The pills were $365 a piece. I said, for the love of God, I get 3 months supply for $50. The money and the grift of it all is just absurd. That's a big commitment, like you said about that person that gave to someone. Like you said, Dr. Mike gave a kidney to his brother. Can you imagine doing that for someone that you've never met?
No, and she was a student at Waynesburg University here in Southwestern land before time, and they did one of those be a match kind of things on campus with the college athletes. And on a whim, she swings by the thing, does a finger prick or what have you, and is like, all right, sign some papers, and then ultimately gets the call. And the woman was in a whole different part of the country, and they both had to agree to meet. That it be
a lot of times you're not permitted to know who.
That the individual the donor requested permission to know the recipient. And so the recipient then is notified the donor would like to contact you, but you can say no. Right? You don't have to. And the donor or the recipient said yes.
Oh, why would I?
And the situation for her was extraordinarily dire. It was extraordinarily dire. And she's completely saved her. The donation completely saved her life. And then I'm like, I want to sign up. And they're like, yeah, there's an age limitation. I'm like, snap.
I tried.
Nobody wants your old raisin organs that are like my ovaries, which probably are like.
I tried. I wasn't allowed.
Why? Because of your mental problems?
No. I tried for my mom. She wouldn't let it.
Really?
Mm-mm. She said it was too risky.
A mom's love. kind of interesting because I suspected an awful lot many, many years ago, merely because I had a front row seat at the con. I was a television news anchor and reporter. I didn't just go out and report stories. I was the anchor at the station. And I did the 5 and 11 o'clock news. And I did that for 11 years, whatever it was. And I did the mornings and the noon and blah, 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 blah. When you see how news is covered and how the stories are pulled and how they're written, you get to see the manipulation, right? So I had great supposition that things were extraordinarily nefarious in many aspects of whatever, natural disasters, insurance, and things with children, and medicine. You could see it all, right? You could see it all. But it wasn't until the night before the 2020 election when the then Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, where I live, Josh Shapiro, said something that just was the frying pan to my face. And the exact line was, if all the votes are added up in Pennsylvania, Trump is going to lose. Again, this is then Attorney General Josh Shapiro, now governor of Pennsylvania, if you believe such things. He wrote that on Twitter the day before the 2020 election. That's why, the Post continued, Trump's working overtime to subtract as many votes as possible from this process. And then he wrote, for the record, he's 0 for 6 against us in court, the Attorney General added. We've protected voting rights. Now ignore the noise and vote. Well, that was interesting because polling figures coming out of Pennsylvania, which was a battleground state, 20 electoral votes, were showing the Democratic nominee, Joe Biden, with a narrow 2.9% lead over Trump. But the polling was well within the 4-point margin of error. Trump having won Pennsylvania by a slim margin in 2006. And all of a sudden, when we go to bed and he's up by 650,000 votes, we wake up and he's lost by 80,555. A day after, 2 days after, the Attorney General says, if all the votes are counted. Isn't that a very interesting thing for somebody to say? Why would you say that? Because you're in on it. You know what's going on. You know there's cheating. You know the machines are connected to the internet. You know that they're accessible and were in Serbia and Venezuela. You know about the ballot dumps. You know about the starting and the stopping of the counting. You know about the excuses that the media parroted. You know about the completely vertical and unknown in elections and tallying the infusion of votes only for Joe Biden. When you get 100,000 mail-in ballots and all of them are marked the same way and they all go to the same guy and they're not folded. It's like, what? And we weren't even allowed to talk about it. You weren't allowed to say anything. You weren't allowed to be suspicious. You weren't allowed to be like, who? Joe Biden, the mental midget who 20 years ago was still just a plagiarizing, low IQ Doomkoff? That's the guy everybody was galvanized to vote for, the guy that didn't campaign, the guy who didn't say a damn thing, the guy who really didn't debate, the guy who didn't go out and press the flesh. That guy, we're going to be told there's a surge. Oh my gosh. Everybody got to have me some Joe freaking Biden. Yeah. And you and I were looking at each other going, you're joking, right? But it was like COVID. The emperor has no clothes. Shh. Don't say anything about it, or they'll come for you. Wow. Wow. It's important every single day for these discussions to be had here. And I know some of the conversations we have are less than savory. And for that, I apologize, but it's important. It's important that we understand who the devils are around us, whether they're the ones who steal our elections, lie to us and tell us they don't, and set up a staged riot that they foment, exacerbate, like the ants in the jar, so as to create the illusion of an insurrection. These are the people who believe it's perfectly reasonable to give a woman a shot called Depo-Provera and bill it as a contraceptive instead of a poison that will absolutely destroy her fertility. These are the people who demand your abeyance, your fealty. These are the people that I say can suck it. And if it's the last thing I do every day that I have the pleasure and the privilege of sitting before this microphone, that's what we're going to call out. If you're new, I'm so glad you're here. Come on back tomorrow because we're going to wrap it up. We do something called Good News. You deserve it. And Bad Joke Friday. Bad Joke Friday. Get your jokes. Get them ready. I love you guys. Have a great day. Peace.